Actually, yes, and maybe that fan as well. What's up, guys? Blake Jamieson. We're back. We have back-to-back artist interviews, which is super cool. If you guys missed it last night, I talked to JK5. We had an amazing, deep, crazy conversation. Went super long, so that one's fun. Tonight, we are joined by another artist, not Topps Project 2020, but also very relevant in the baseball scene. Lauren Taylor, what's up?
How's it going? You're also joined by my dogs, apparently. They're going to be
Awesome. That's great. I love it. Just keeping an eye on the place.
Yeah, staring out the window all day.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to have you. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and I think timing just worked out. It's perfect, and it's great. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a fun conversation. It can really, there's really no rules. There's no limits. We could talk about whatever you want. We could go as long as you want or as short as you want. We'll kind of, I have some questions that I had gotten from Twitter on a second monitor over here. And then we also have a bunch of people that are going to tune in live. And so there'll be
hopefully you don't pause. Shit. Uh-oh.
Yo, I don't know. Okay, it still says live. Okay, hold on. let's see here. All right. Well, this is actually good because it didn't make me it let me rejoin the same one. So the live stream's still here. 42 people are still here so far.
Wow.
Okay. So far so good. Yeah, Dan, I broke the feed. Man, 2 nights in a row. We had audio issues last night, and we've been doing this for months and haven't really had a lot of issues apparently until this week.
No. Yep.
Anyways, we're back. Okay, so I guess for anyone that doesn't know a little bit of like your background, do you want to give us kind of the elevator pitch on you and your art and your story? Because I know it's a pretty interesting one, and I know elevator pitches, you can go as long as you want. It could be a long elevator.
I'll do my best to make it short. It's a weird story for sure. I used to just do art in high school for fun, did like occasional pencil drawings, nothing sports related really.
Right.
College athletes, high school athletes, softball, fast pitch. And then about 4 years ago, I took a line drive to the face. So I've just been getting surgeries to, oh God, it's hard to look in the mirror. Fix my jaw. So today, this is why we couldn't do this last week. My face looked mutilated, but it's been a long.
You look great.
I smashed some bones and
wow,
wasn't good. Bad concussion.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I couldn't play ball anymore, and it was like that was my whole identity, was an athlete. So I started doing more art to kind of like emote some of the weird concussion phenomena, because it's probably karma, because I honestly was like, concussions are a mindset, you're fine. And then I got smoked in the head, and I was like, oh, that's real.
Wow.
So yeah, and so I started doing art to different like athletes in baseball, mostly like vintage, like Ted Williams, Babe Ruth, like the old school stuff. And
yeah.
Then I decided to do one of Ryan Dempster. I played beer league softball with his brother, and I'm a Red Sox fan, so I delivered to him, and it was a lot of fun. So then next came James Paxton, who I'm in Vancouver, BC right now. He's a local boy, so he saw it and said I'd love to have that, and gave me a couple of BP passes, and still working at my desk job as an HR manager in an investment company. Like, so not me, but
yeah,
it's like
you still are, or you were at the time.
What's that?
You are now, or you were at the time?
I was at the time. So kind of that comfortable career you're supposed to fall into.
Sure.
I'm a psychology major, so HR kind of worked. And yeah, just started doing more and more art, and started like really pushing to see if I could get it out there. Decided to quit my job about 2.5 years ago after the PGA Tour hired me to do like some art, and they ended up making it a full page feature in the USA Today, and I was like, that's my sign, I'm doing this. So I quit, and it's been crazy. I'm now licensed by MLB, the MLBPA, and the Hall of Fame, which has been its own unique journey, as we've kind of talked about, learning all the rules and what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
Sometimes the rules, you're like, I don't know, I didn't do anything wrong. So yeah.
I would actually love, I know that we've talked about that kind of offline separately, but I did see some people asking about that process. Yeah. So maybe later in this conversation, we can kind of talk about the licensing thing, which I'm super interested in. Okay, anyway, sorry. Carry on.
No, it's great. So yeah, it's been kind of a weird, like, I think I mentioned this to you before. It's like being your own business as a female sports artist, like 20% of it's art. The other 80% is just hustling your face off as a business owner. Like, whereas before, I did it on weekends for fun. I'd sell some stuff in the holidays, but my income was based off of something different. And it's
no, I don't think that's a female thing. That's just an artist thing.
No, totally not. But I just mean like as a female entrepreneur, because that's what I'm used to talking about.
Sure.
It's like it becomes like, okay, I'm an artist, but I need to be a lot more to make this work, because there's so many talented artists out there, as you know. And
amazing, yeah, absolutely.
Totally self-taught. Don't know what I'm doing half the time. When someone brings up like official like art words, or like asks me my technique, I'm like, I just it looks good now. Didn't look good for what It's like I don't know what I'm doing half the time. So I just make a lot of art, and it's finally started to kind of catch on with people, so it's been fun.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And do you think not being able to play sports yourself anymore is working specifically in like the MLB and kind of the sports portrait arena, is that filling a little bit of the void of being out on the field yourself, or does it make you miss it more, or a combination of both? Yeah.
Luckily, my body's like a bag of ass now. Like, it just doesn't operate the way it used to. Like, the shoulder's shot. Like, I get winded going for a run. So, that kind of helps. Like, at 32, my body's just not primed. And I also wasn't, and I have no problem, not looking for compliments here, I just wasn't talented enough to bring it past college. So it was a natural end for me. It was by no means is a line drive in the face natural, but
sure.
it was a good transition for me. And I honestly don't know how that would have looked. Like, you hear a lot about mental health in sports when people they're no longer playing, and it's so true. You're like you didn't know how to make friends. I'm like, you mean there's not going to be like 14 people I'm forced to hang around all day that we eventually just like each other? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then being able to like use kind of that love for baseball and make my art more interesting, made the transition a lot easier for sure. I still play like beer league softball, so it doesn't really even count as being athletic, but it'll do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it counts.
Counts as drinking
getting out there. Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
Do you have a sports background? I don't think I've ever asked that.
Mine down?
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to change the volume on their end at all. Like, is she saying that I'm too loud?
Tess said, can you turn your volume down a little for better balance?
Let's see. I will try and do that. Hold on one second.
Sorry.
Audio. I go there. Guess we'll see. I can also like lean back away from the computer, which will probably make me a little quieter. No, I was too loud.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, let's see. I think so. For anyone that hasn't seen Lauren's art, the link is down below. LaurenTaylorIllustrations.com. Is that right?
Yeah, okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Yes. So it's down below the video. It's also in the comments. If you guys haven't seen it, pull it up, and it's like a side window, because I think it's so cool. Like, looking at your work, there's so much going on. You have the portrait, and then you usually have like a lot of other stuff. Like, I'm looking at the Jordan right now, and you have him holding up the trophy, kind of hidden almost in his jersey. And I see a lot of that in your work. So
yeah.
What's that process like? And you don't have to use technical terms, but I'm curious, like, how you do it, because I don't know how we would make that. I see that it's on birch, it looks like.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Like, here's
sick.
So, everybody knows mirror. I'm trying to remember that.
That's
so you got
cool.
San Francisco, and then the scooter thing, because when I brought art to the Giants, like, his scooter was in the lobby, and it was hilarious. And I was like, oh, he really has a scooter. But yeah, so funny story. Topps, full circle here.
Okay.
I got rejected hard by Topps like 3 years ago, like hard. Like, I think the exact phrase was, a layman hobbyist could do what I did. So stung a little.
That's hard.
But
Topps told you that?
Yeah, like it stung a little. But honestly, the kind of the chip on my shoulder that gave me, and it legit gave me a chip on my shoulder for a bit, was like, I gotta make my art more exciting. Like, you can take it and be done with art and just be like, wow, I suck. Or you can kind of take it and be like, I suck for a couple days, and then be like, how can I make my stuff better? And that's when kind of this idea of like, how do I stand out? And it started with a Felix Hernandez piece where I was like, I'm going to make the reflection in his glasses my own thing. Like, instead of what it actually is, I'm going to, maybe show, oh my God, someone just said, is she a quiet person? No. It just caught the comment out of the corner of my eye. I'm not quiet. And then the glasses, I was like, maybe I'll try and show, Safeco. And then now it's T-Mobile Park, but, kind of expanding on that. And I used to do just straight pencil drawings. I have one I can grab later, but I used to do straight up pencil. And there's a really limited market for pencil drawings, like very limited. Mm-hmm. And the amount of time it took me to do straight pencil drawings was just it wasn't fun for me. So I started thinking, like, how can I use mixed media? And I don't draw from imagination necessarily. So kind of worked with, okay, what am I not good at, and how can I build on that? So I started making stencil, which I think you do a bit of stencil too, right?
Yeah.
So I started making stencil, and I wanted to work on wood because wood's so a part of the game of baseball, like from the old school with bleachers to with bats. And so, oh, sorry, am I crowding your space? Sorry.
No worries.
I'm like, God forbid I'm on the couch. So I started making like stencil with tissue paper, which allowed me to kind of make, so on wood, it bleeds, you might know this a bit too from your work, it'll bleed up the wood grain. So I started making like tissue paper stencil by doing part Illustrator digital stencil. So I kind of work in Illustrator, make my stencil, and then place it on the wood and then paint over the top. And then I started like layering that. Okay, I'm going to do a stencil and then a stencil within that. And then how do I emphasize like wrinkles in the jersey and shadows and make sure that it looks natural instead of like a photo on top of a photo. And it seems to get better as time goes on. I get better at it. But yeah, it's constantly trying to like, okay, how do I need to bend this image to work as a reflection in the helmet rather than just a straight stencil over stencil, because that won't look natural. So I'm constantly evolving it and changing it, and it's been really fun. It's gotten easier and at the same time harder to kind of, you can only do so many times where you just show the reflection of the stadium in a helmet. Like you have to get kind of creative, and that's where it takes me a little longer now. I'm like, okay, how do I do something different for this one? So.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm looking at the Mike Trout, and you've got the catch like over the wall.
Oh, yeah. That was an early one. Yeah, that was fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, that one's gone. That's I have a few that sold out, and that was one of them. And I.
So what? I see that it was a limited print run. What was the run on that?
100 prints. So I do either 100 or 500.
Got it. And so is it 100 8 by 11 and 100 16 by 20s?
Yeah. So I used to only do. Okay, here's a funny story about my small prints. I thought I was so smart, like so smart. I was like, oh, no one wants that. Like as an artist, I'm like, I don't want legal language in my art. So I was like, oh, I'm brilliant. I'm gonna add an extra inch with all the like logos and legal language and shit. Had no idea that people really like that. So all my art sizes are awkwardly shaped at 9 by 10 or 8.5 by 11. So I learned from that a bit. So now I do a lot of people wanted bigger pieces too. So I went to 16 by 20 and didn't add that extra inch because no one cares.
Right.
Out of context, that sounded weird, but yeah, like I thought I was so smart. I really did, and I wasn't. Totally didn't get that. So learning about the world of sports art collecting, and they care about that.
But people like that, right? They like all the.
Makes sense, but at the time I was like, ew, I don't want that in there. So you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, in terms of, we'll just keep rolling with the prints for a minute. Do you print them yourself? Do you have a local printer you work with? Is it outsourced and drop shipped? How does like the printing part of it work?
I like to be the last one to see it before it goes out. I'm sure one day I'll have to give that up, but for now, it's really important to me that I'm the last hands on it.
Sure.
That can be kind of quality control of it.
Sure.
I work with a local printer, so it's a small family-owned. Oh my God, you're drinking beer! Thank God, I'm gonna go get mine in a minute.
It is 11 o'clock here, so.
Right? Well, it's
11 o'clock somewhere.
10:45.
I know, 10:45. Yeah. No, definitely beer time. Definitely.
It's airport rules during COVID. You can drink whatever you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's actually it makes it on the stream quite a bit. Usually I put it in a red cup, but
I had to drink mine beforehand because I was like, I don't know if that's allowed. So I'm actually buzzed because I drink mine so fast. But the thing with shit, now that I've totally lost what we were saying. This is what happens. This is your fault. What the hell were we talking about? Someone in comments will be helpful. Well, shit, lost it. And now you're gone. Oh my God, you're gone. I'm running this show alone. Oh Lord. Guys, printer, thank you. But I'm all alone now. I'm running the Blake show alone, guys. Hey, taking over Blake's channel. I don't know what to do here. Just gonna text Blake real quick. So I don't know what Blake usually does here, but I now own Blake's channel. What shall we chat about now that it's my show? It's the Lauren Taylor live YouTube. I don't even know how to invite him back in. So yeah, I'll just explain the printing thing while I casually ask Blake how to let him back into his own video. Hold on, let me just ask if I need to do something. Do I need to? So yeah, I use a local printer. I use a local family. I don't drop ship. I like to basically, I send them a proof. It's easy. He's coming back. Blake, I was in.
Oh, so you were here the whole time?
Whoa! I was running your channel, and I was like,
I thought it was both of us again, and I just texted you. That's hilarious. Okay, well, good. I'm glad that they, you could.
Well, people reminded me what we were talking about, the printer, so I got that going for me.
Great, great. Did I miss anything good?
I use like a family-owned printer. They're great.
Yeah.
They have all professional machines. I do think as I get bigger, it makes more financial sense to print in-house, but right now I'm still using them. I print a proof. Go check it out. Work with them. Like today, I had a 3 Cooperstown prints release, so print a proof with them. Go look at it, chat with them, and then pick it up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with, Scott Hodges. He also does a lot of sports stuff. His work is amazing. On Twitter, it's I am Scott Hodges. I think that you and I have both, all of us 3 have been tagged in some of the same stuff where it's like, share your sports artist that you're following right now or something. Right. Definitely overlapping circles. Anyways, the point of it is he recently bought a large format Epson SureColor printer, which are not cheap. I think, I don't know, I think they're probably $5 or $6 grand, but like he just sent me a couple prints and oh my gosh, they look so good. And the fact that like he can just do those from home, I think you're right. I think for you, I think it would make a ton of sense. If I get more into prints, I think it would make a ton of sense. So I'm super fascinated by that.
I have my act all together before the weekend because they're closed on the weekend in the summer, and it's like, ugh. So yeah, it would be nice to just be able to print things on demand when Plus, eventually it'll be cheaper, and like the hardest part for me is the large format prints, like the 16 by 20s. But I have to with MLB when you get the stickers, you kind of have to print in advance. So. A lot of times I have the stock, but it would be nice to be able to just like push print in my apartment and go pick it up.
Yeah. Hey, you sold a Nolan print. Thank you, Jason. Out there supporting. Love that.
Wow, just made that comment.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if you caught it. Do you have a background in sports? I don't think I know that.
So I played sports all growing up. I had season tickets to the Oakland A's with my dad, and I loved baseball. From a very young age, like played a little bit of t-ball, started playing regular baseball, and just didn't have the patience for it. I loved batting. Everything else was just boring as crap for me. I couldn't hang. So I switched over and I started playing soccer. Played soccer, wrestling, and lacrosse through high school, and really wanted to wrestle in high school. That was kind of what I just liked. And also like I was really small. I grew really late, and so like wrestling was the one sport where like my size wasn't a disadvantage. And so I really liked like kind of also like being in control of everything. Like I lose, it's my fault. I win, it's my victory. I really liked that sport, but I had an injury my senior year, basically during like the very end tournament of the year. I tore my meniscus and I had to have a knee surgery. So I ended up missing tryouts for both. And it probably would have been like wrestling would have been my number one thing to play in college. Soccer would have been second. Lacrosse was third. And I missed what? I'm sorry?
A lot of cardio, just saying.
It is a lot of cardio. I know. Well, that was in the past. So I ended up, because of the surgery, I missed tryouts for both soccer and wrestling. And so I was able to walk on and play on the lacrosse team, which was great. And I loved every minute of it. I still really enjoy lacrosse. So yeah, I mean, I played, but it's not like I was never thinking like, oh, I'm going to go be a professional lacrosse player. It was just a fun thing to like keep me in shape, have a good close community of friends, through college. And it was a great time. And then after college, I've done a little bit of coaching. I coached under 14 boys team, and then I coached assistant coach of a varsity high school team, which is awesome. It's always fun to just like stay connected to the sport, but not have to do the cardio. It's also cool.
You go run.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my background. And then also just like in like the card collecting thing world with like why the Topps thing is so cool and special to me is that I did grow up collecting baseball cards with my dad, and we have this really big collection and it survived decades of moves. We moved to Florida from California. We moved back, and it came with us in these like 7 big boxes of cards. And my mom always let us keep them, which was great. And now like you know, a lot of the cards in Project 2020 that I'm now redesigning are cards that were like in our original collection.
Sure.
So it's all
Gotta
full
be pretty
circle.
cool. That's gotta be pretty cool to see like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And usually too, like my dad usually is on the stream. Even my mom was on last night. My sister, like, it's a family affair now, which is so cool
Love
that
it.
they're also
Getting my beer.
great.
That
Nice.
is awesome. Yeah, I collected all cards when they like were worth absolutely nothing in the early 90s. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I was the idiot that's like, I'm gonna bring them to the playground. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know,
Nice.
I collected Ken Griffey Jr. because I grew up in Seattle, but that's about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Shrek said he thinks she's in. So she's actually. You said you're in Vancouver, right?
I am. Yeah. So I'm in Vancouver, Canada now, and I moved here about 10 years ago from Seattle. So.
Cool. Right on. How do you
Yeah,
like Canada?
Side.
Oh, that looks classier than what I'm drinking.
It's my favorite brewery. My friend owns it, and it's just
Nice.
it's too good a beer though. Like you're like, oh, that went down way too easy.
Yeah.
I miss when I didn't love beer very much because it was easier to be an alcoholic. But
Yeah. So I see both my mom and dad are both on the stream, which is awesome.
oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. No.
My parents didn't figure out how to get on YouTube tonight.
Yeah.
But
No.
she'll ask me about it. She might ask me about it tomorrow. So
Yeah.
what's
Yeah. It's fun. Actually, that reminds me. Somebody asked earlier if you have a YouTube channel. Do you do anything on YouTube or not really?
I mean, technically, if you look it up, there's one, but it's like me rambling like once or twice, and then like the start of a couple of time-lapse videos. That's about
Cool.
it.
Cool.
I would like to do it. I find that I am like so many things I want to do, but I think I saw you like running around with your head cut off a few nights as well. Like right now, it's like I'm a one-woman show, so it's like I got to do all my shipping. And then whatever time I have left over, it's to create new stuff. And then social media is a full-time job. And I wouldn't have it any other way, but trying to make sure I respond to people and post and like, you know, be entertaining sometimes is more than soon I'm going to need to have some help. But for now, I'm kind of just trying to do everything. And I need to get YouTube. Apparently TikTok's the way to go, but I don't have that figured out yet. I feel like
I'm light with TikTok too. So my sister's also, she's on here too, and she's also helping me with. She's on the team, and she runs all my inboxes. So email inbox, all social inboxes, and we've got a good system now where like she knows when a question is answered. We have like templated kind of a response of things like how do you how does a commission work, or where do I buy prints, or when is my card shipping? Like she has all that on lock. And I got to tell you, like, I'm very fortunate with the Tops 2020 project. I've been able to build my team up bigger than it's ever been in my life.
Right.
And that was like the best hire. Like if I could go back and do it again, that's the position that I would fill first.
Yeah, it is, because you get the same like questions over and over again, and it's like,
exactly.
No, it's definitely on that or shipping.
Shipping is also up there for sure. I spent all day today. I recorded a podcast with Matt, but everything that I did physically with my hands in the studio was just boxing up works to ship. And part of it is this one giant oversized piece that's bigger than I think anything I've ever shipped. And it's a challenge.
Order of the Caesar Sabathia retirement gift I did, so I was fine with it. The most stressful shit I've ever packed in my life, because one, the thought that if it gets lost on the plane in the retirement presentation, I had so he hired me 10 days before the ceremony, and that included travel. And I was like, if this gets lost on the plane, I'm screwed. And so I also had to pack it myself. So it was like, went to Staples and bought like all the bubble wrap and anything that said fragile and handle with care. I just bought and just posted it everywhere. I think there was probably a good like $200 worth of shipping supplies just that I taped all over that thing. And it did. It took me like half the day, but it arrived.
Yeah,
and then
that's great.
it took a long time to get it all off in the hotel. I'm sure the hotel like room attendant was like, what is all? Because I had to like bag it and trash. I'm like, thanks if you don't mind. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Did you transport here to New York? But
that happened to me. I went to I did Art Basel for the first time this past December, and I same thing. Like I I did a show at the SLS, and let's see, I was showing 6 pieces in the show. So I brought those 6. And then I also had, I brought like 4 other pieces, and same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, if anything happens to these on the way, this whole trip is going to be for nothing. So same thing, like just overpacking and just making it crazy. And I was really lucky. The show went very good. I sold almost completely out. I only had a couple left. So like I ended up with all this packing crap that I didn't need on the way back. And it's literally the same thing. I'm just like, it's a pile, it's a mountain.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh man, I could so use that for the next like year when I ship things, but I also didn't really want to buy like 2 extra duffel bags to bring it home. So
Yeah. Also, a game changer, I would say, on the shipping side is, so we use Shippo, which is goshippo.com, and we bought like one of those little Dymo 4XL label printers.
It is a game changer.
Great.
It is an absolute game changer.
Because for so long I was printing out paper, and then I was just taping over it, and then I'd take it to UPS and I'd have to wait in line, and then I'd get the quote.
Oh, I know. Once you like start doing it correctly, you're like, cool, I wasted a lot of hours of my life before this.
Yeah.
That's right. You're fine. Yeah, the Dymo was magic, and being in Vancouver, the hardest part for me was like, how do I offer shipping for free? Because I find when people are buying a print, $50 print or whatever, it's pretty discouraging when you're about to buy it and then there's like an additional shipping charge. So I wanted to fix my abandoned cart rate, and I'm like, free shipping might be the way to go. Because honestly, I'm cool with dropping $300 on clothing, but if you ask me for $6 in shipping at the end, we're done. Hands off. Like, I am bailing on this transaction. So I was like, okay, I got to find a way to offer free shipping. But in Canada, it's kind of a joke. And then with the customs, so there's a company, their name, I feel like an idiot every time I say their name, but it's literally called Chit Chats. I love them though. They bring shipments, as long as they're under 300 each. They bring them to Blaine, Washington, and then it's shipped from, and it's all legal. It's shipped through USPS, and that way customers don't wait long. I don't have to pay so much. I can offer free shipping. So it's been
I wonder if there's something to reverse, because like I'm not that far from the Canadian border. If there's somewhere that, because I would say most of the stuff that I sell ships to the US, but sometimes we have Canada stuff, and we've had some learnings and some challenges in terms of like the customs and the delays, and
even as a
annoying.
shipping Canadian, it's way worse. It costs me more. It's like twice as much as shipping to the States, and it's brutal. I'm like, I live in Canada. Why is this worse? But it's same with like Canadian flights. They're twice as much for me than if I fly to the States. So
Weird.
But there's got to be something, I imagine, reverse. Chit Chats, I know, operates Chit Chats. Don't you feel stupid saying that? Try saying that like you're a business.
I'm gonna look it up.
Chit Chats. They're in Toronto, but I imagine they do reverse because they do returns. So yeah, they're great though. I love the people that work there too. They're super nice, and it's really easy.
Awesome.
I just do everything from here and just drop it off. Done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Excuse me. It's later here.
What's your project? What's your next card?
What's my next card? My next card's Ted Williams.
Oh.
Actually, and you mentioned him earlier. I was thinking, so Ted Williams is next, and then Ken Griffey Jr. after that, and so it's going to be a fun few weeks.
Can you just stop for a little bit?
Oh, they're so cute.
Can you just not adjust the pillow over them? She's so irritated with me. I have a pair. Ken Griffey Jr. is probably one of my favorite athletes to create art of, and never have an idiot selling a Ken Griffey Jr. It is my most requested print, and unfortunately, I can't do prints of Griffey, which is a bummer. And
that's because he is not a current. It's you just have the current players, but you also have the Hall of Fame thing, right?
Yeah, so it's like the trifecta of licenses, but Hall of Fame doesn't cover every single player in the Hall of Fame. It covers players that have signed into this like membership, which is some great. I mean, anyone in the Hall of Fame is great, but it doesn't include like Mantle, Jeter, Griffey. Some of the ones I get, like Jackie, that literally I get requests daily for prints of.
Right.
But it does. So people always think like I don't know baseball when I have like rolly fingers, yet I don't have a Mantle in my Cooperstown collection. I'm like, what the hell? And it's just, I have 92 names. So, I think someone asked on Twitter if I'm going to do a Pudge Rodriguez. yes, he's on my list, and he actually has been a project on my desk for a few weeks now. I just haven't found the right
Awesome.
perfect design yet. But so I don't have. It's not all Hall of Fame players, and then once it's not covered by those three, you have to basically secure rights through the estate or the player themselves, and it's all like has to be like legal documents. So I've yet to do that. Gotten close with. Go ahead, get down, then jump. Oh my God, jump over the court. Sorry, it's like all the kids. But I've gotten close with Lou Gehrig has done like the foundation. Sometimes we'll do stuff with artists or whatever, and you donate a portion of the foundation. But it's hard to get all that stuff done, and then you're paying royalties to MLB still for the logos, and then to try and pay a foundation on top. It just gets to be a bit.
Yeah.
If I ever got a response from some of these big names, I would definitely entertain it, but it's hard enough to get just a response because you're just an artist. You're not Under Armour or Baseballism or, some of these people that they're like, ooh, big money. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody asked here, do you do like just one-off commissions, originals that wouldn't turn into prints?
I do. Yeah. I used to do that a lot. I've kind of steered away from it during COVID just because I've been working on kind of some of these projects I wanted to do. And then with baseball starting now, you've got the Mookie Dodgers print that everyone's asking for, the Garrett Cole. So I'll open them back up beginning of October. So right now I'm booked with commission work until beginning of October, but we'll open it back up for that.
It's a great spot to be in.
It's not bad. Yes, I'm very grateful. For a while.
So with the commission stuff, could you do a Griffey or could you do?
Absolutely. Yep.
Jeff? Yeah, as one of one, you could.
One-of-ones are fine. You don't need any permission from anyone for a one-of-one. So yeah, the trick is when you make a copy. So yeah,
that's
it is nice. Artists at least have that freedom. Like we can make a one-of-one with work.
Right. Which is kind of the world that I've been playing in for the last several years of doing this.
And I kind of go back and forth. Like it can be lucrative if you're at a point where you can sell it for a certain amount, but it is also nice to kind of dabble in the commercial world where you can sell people prints that don't necessarily have a certain amount of
dollars. Sure.
Original. So yeah, but then you're paying royalties and following all these different rules, but it's a blessing. I'm super grateful to be licensed. It's just a matter of trying to figure out what the balance should be, like how many originals versus how many prints. So yeah.
Is it like so? And again, I know that we would get into this at some point. So maybe explain to people a little bit how the licensing works. So you have a license with the MLB. You have a license with the MLB Players Association, and then you have another one with the Cooperstown, like Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And those are all separate entities that you have to go through and do applications for and promise minimum royalty payments, right? Kind of.
Yeah, like I'm licensed under. If you don't know his art, check it out. Dan Duffy with Legendary Sports Prints. He does a lot of. It's called Art of Words too. I can't remember which handle for which social media, but. You basically, no, don't. Sorry, one second. Don't. Not right now. Go. I took them out for a while.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's awesome. I'm looking at the Legendary Sports Prints right now.
He does everything with like stats, and it's pretty cool. So I got in under them. So I'm a sub-licensee of them, which makes my life easier in terms of I don't know all that, like the details and stuff about minimums, but I know if you go to, I started by going to MLBPA and looking at kind of their requirements because what I had heard is getting licensed through the Players Association is easier than MLB.
Okay.
So you need a Players Association if you do more than like 2 or 3 players. I think you need to then get licensed through them to create, and don't quote me on that, but
I will not.
The license for MLBPA is to use the likeness of a current player.
Okay.
MLB is for logos, trademarks, all that. Can we not seriously? Why are you doing this right now? This is my life all.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
No, she just wants to talk to you all. You're terrible.
Yeah.
Fenway, so she's got a lot to talk about.
Okay, so I've seen I think it was Don Russ cards that
Yep.
for a long time had the players, but it didn't. There were no jersey, no logos of the teams. So they must have had a license with the MLBPA, but not with the MLB at the time.
Correct. So if you look at baseball, for the example of baseball cards, Topps has an exclusive license with MLB and MLBPA, which no other card company, I believe, has. So if you look at Panini, it's funny, all the logos are airbrushed out, and it doesn't say Yankees; it says New York.
Okay.
So if you go buy a pack of Panini cards, they're cool, they look great, but they don't have any logos.
Got it. Man, I've never actually noticed that.
Yeah.
Even now, current, do we have any Panini back here?
Do you have any non-Topps cards there?
Oh yeah.
If you have any current non-Topps cards, you'll be able to see it. As much as I love the different, you can't. It's just weird to me to not see logos. It's really weird, and they do a great job trying to make up for it with these really cool thick, the reflective card stuff. But it's hard to look at a card without a logo. It's very weird.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, we've definitely opened a lot of non-Topps cards, and I honestly never noticed. I'd seen it on Don Russ before because it was just glaringly obvious. But
curious if any of your, I guess a few other people have noticed it. But yeah, I think it's because they saturated the market, in the 80s and 90s with so many different options, and then cards weren't worth a lot.
Yeah.
So I believe Topps is the only ones that have. Yeah, I think they're the only ones that have exclusive rights to both.
Yeah. Someone's asking, and I just confirmed. So when I go to, let's see, buy prints, and then I go to other artworks and click on basketball, it's showing page not found. Is it because there are no prints of basketball currently?
No, it's because I'm trying to go after a license and trying to be careful. So
smart.
That's the short story. So it's hard getting licenses, and when you kind of decide you want to try, it's best to.
Yeah. And so I remember, I know you said, so between NFL, MLB, NBA, and then the other one, which of those do you think is the hardest to get?
I think NFL by far.
Okay.
From what I've heard, I heard the minimums are high, and you have to I think they're pretty tough, and I hope that they start to allow some sort of it's hard to have an artist pay what
What a company, what is it? Fathead or something.
Yeah, I really think if I remember correctly, last time I checked NFL, it was $250,000 minimum offer, and as an artist, it's kind of Jesus, and then you have to prove a certain amount of sales, and so there's this weird kind of. I haven't decided if I want to try and do prints of other sports, but I want to just stick with originals. But it also is discouraging too when you go on Etsy or whatever, and you see a bunch of people that aren't licensed, and you're like, why did I do that? But at the same time, I'm super grateful because it means I can just pump those without worrying about if I'm doing the wrong thing. But it's a weird world, and there's a lot to learn, and I do hope I honestly think people like you working so hard to get sports out there with Topps 2020 is going to be amazing for the future of it. Because people are finally talking about sports and art. And I haven't been in this as long as you have, but I do know just last year, I would approach teams wholesale and be like, I'd like to sell you wholesale prints for your team store. And they're like, art doesn't sell with sports. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Well,
and now all of a sudden, everybody's into it. So a lot of that comes from people like you and some of the other incredible artists with Top 2020 that are talking about it, and there's suddenly now a market for it. So I think it's headed in the right direction.
That's awesome.
You've been doing this a lot longer than Topps 2020. I just unfortunately.
Yeah. So I worked in marketing for a long time. I didn't go to art school. I quit my corporate job at the age of 30 to pursue painting full time. So that was 5 years ago.
30 years, perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so I'm 35, and it's been a fun 5 years. I spent almost a year kind of working on my craft and getting to a point where I was really comfortable selling my work. I also did this kind of ridiculous project called 90 Days to MoMA, where I was trying to get my art into SF MoMA within 90 days of becoming an artist.
I love it.
and it's super fun. It's like kind of, yeah,
Okay. Huh,
yeah.
great.
I'll let you watch it, but I think it was fun. It was super fun. And that's like there was like a daily vlog series on YouTube, and I had like every single day was a different hustle I did all these crazy things.
Love it.
And then because of my history in or my like kind of community in the marketing world, I knew people at like marketing agencies, PR firms, and tech companies. And so I first positioned myself as an artist that would I said, I make art for offices. And so I was
Okay.
going after like tech companies that maybe had raised a Series A round. They were moving from a co-working space into their first like proper office, wanting to have kind of a cool company culture, a cool vibe. So I was painting pictures of like big giant portraits of Steve Jobs, or like big motivational quotes, and it was all kind of in that realm. And that actually was going really well, and I was carving out that niche. And
Yeah.
because those are the people I knew, and they trusted me, like I was finding some business, and it was a spontaneous or like serendipitous chance that I met this guy, Jared Faison, who used to play in the NFL. Now he manages NFL players.
Okay.
It was like random trip to Las Vegas. I was dropping off art for a different client, met him through a mutual friend, and we just totally hit it off. And he's like, man, you should paint for NFL players. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I would love to if I could. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
I represent them. If you do 3 of my clients for free, I'll get them to promote you like crazy, and like this will sell work for you. And I was like, all right, let's try it. And I did 3 free paintings for 3 of his clients, and it was like clockwork. Like I immediately got 3 full paying things. And so like I very quickly pivoted and was like, holy crap, this is such a good niche, because I realized like it's like the trifecta. They have the disposable income to afford the prices that I was trying to get for my art.
Right.
There's like an infinite amount of amazing photographs of them doing these crazy things because they're pro athletes, really good quality reference images. And then the third is like they're wildly competitive. So when one guy gets a painting, the other guy wants a bigger one, or the other guy wants 2. And so the first, like doing those first 3 for free is basically I started building into my whole like business development strategy of like I would do strategic gifts. And so I would pick a team, and I like got it all dialed in. I would pick a team that I wanted to like infiltrate. I'd pick a few guys that were not necessarily the superstars, but like the pretty good players.
This is seriously a spitting image of what I've done.
This
I'm
is
not kidding.
So maybe so I learned a lot. At first I was like so stoked. So I'd hit him up on Instagram, and I'd say, hey, if I do an awesome portrait for you, will you post it on Instagram and tag me? And then I say, by the way, I've painted for this person, this person, this person. And usually if they saw the message, they would say yes. And at first I was really excited to like get their home address and like mail it to their home. I very quickly realized the best thing to do is to ship it to the training facility, because the training facility will unbox it and they're going to put it in the locker. And it's literally
wants to know where it's at.
Everyone sees it. And then I started writing on the back super big. I'd write my phone number and I'd write my Instagram handle like giant on the back of the painting. And like every time, so I'd do like 2 or 3 players on one team, and I'd make it so they all show up like the same week. And so all the guys, 50 guys would come into a locker room and they're like, oh, there's a painting. What the heck? There's a painting. What? That guy got a painting too? And then they'd be like, who did that? And then like my phone would start ringing. And it's cool. It worked really well for a long time. And ultimately, I guess it kind of got Top's attention. Yeah. So, here we are.
It's like eerily similar. The only difference is I did the whole DM route as well, like go for like the relief picture that's maybe played like that. I actually have a shot of them seeing my DM as a person without that lovely little blue check mark. And once I get like 1 or 2, then the only difference, instead of mailing it, I would make a plan. So I'd pick a series where maybe Cardinals are playing the Braves in a weird series, and I would just hit both teams. I'd work on it for a month. I'd pump out as much art as I could with as many players as I could reach, and then I'd deliver during BP. So then they'd have these art pieces, they'd show pals, and then maybe like the Yadier Molina, Mike Trouts of the world would be like, they obviously wouldn't see my DM, but they'd be like, that's kind of cool. And then I would ask them, hey, I'd like to make one for you as well. And, that's kind of what started it all. And so it's very similar how we did it. And I was never afraid to do free art. Like, I remember my sister and I got a big argument about this. She's like, you work for free. And, I listen to a lot of Gary Vee stuff. I think you maybe do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I've just never been afraid to hustle my face off and for no money at first. And,
Mhm.
it'll follow, it comes. And the other cool thing with that now is like, okay, someone sees an original, they see a print, and then they find out that that original is owned by the player. So you can buy this Tatis Jr. and Tatis owns the Wood original, and you can buy one of the 100 prints made of it. And it's also it's gotten a lot easier. It's not easy yet, but it's gotten a lot easier to reach more and more players. And being licensed by MLB, everyone assumes like I get set up with that stuff. I don't even get like a free ticket. I give them money. Like, I don't get anything. So it's like they're all like, "Oh, it must be so cool they set you up for these meetings." It's like, oh my god, no! I like literally blow up. I like slide into people's DMs all day. So it's true. It's how you start to get kind of some of that recognition and not being afraid to do something for nothing, because it's never for nothing. Like if you get that photo with so-and-so holding your art, even if they don't post it, but you do, you start to get that notoriety and the other part is, working hard at your craft. They're not going to agree to meet with you if they don't like what they see. So it's like you have to work hard at the art part of things too, but that's where that 80% business comes in, where like all day I'm just dealing with rejection or throwing lines out there and just hoping one catches. And then when it does,
all you need is a hit.
That's right.
Swing for the fences. I love it.
Yeah.
So and it's interesting. Like I'm the same way. Like I've probably done about 500 professional athletes at this point. Mostly in the NFL. Some had started dabbling in the NBA, and a couple one-off like hockey ones.
NBA players?
I'm sorry?
Did you have a hard time reaching NBA players?
Not really. It's a numbers game.
They have such large followings on Instagram. I find that they're
okay. Also, and this is a crazy thing. So I moved to New York a couple years ago, and right around that time, I had 80,000 followers on Instagram, and I had the blue check, and my DMs were so lit. Like my followers were so dope. And I'll tell you the long version of the story on another time, but I lost that account, and I had to start completely over. And it was crippling at the time.
So goddamn long to build.
It was crippling, but I'm always like, all good. I'll find the next door. That one closes fine. And so I started using Twitter, which I did have also. Like my Twitter and my Instagram were like on the same pace, and then I lost Instagram, and I'm like, all right, Twitter it is. And so I would just start tweeting at these guys, and you talk about the MLBPA. If you go to the NBAPA on Twitter, they have, and then you go to the people they're following. It's literally a list of all the current players. And I had actually my friend Andy, who's an artist. He's also my accountant and full-time employee now. But he would come in and use my studio sometimes. We were just like friends, and he would paint, and I kind of was mentoring him a little bit. I said, "Hey man, I've been letting you use the studio for a while for free." He says, "Yeah, do you need me to pay you?" I said, "No, I just want your help on a." Oh, geez, this guy's got to get banned. So, anyways, I'm like, all right, I'm cashing in. He's like, all right, no problem, whatever you want. I was like, all right, come over to my apartment. He comes over, and I show him the template, and I show him the list, and I say, I want to send a DM to every single professional basketball player. And once we finish that, I want to do every single hockey player. And then I want to do every single soccer player. I want to do every single football player, even though I've hit up a lot of them already. And so literally, and we would just work side by side for hours, copy pasting, and then slightly personalizing, which I think helps the message. And so depending on who we're messaging, I might try and show examples of players that play the same position, or players that play for the same team, or somebody that they're going to be impressed by. And I mean, I can tell you this: I've run the numbers enough time. I've done this enough times. You send 100 DMs, you're going to get 10 responses and 1 sale of an original at the price point that I was at. And I look at how much time that takes us. It took us about 3 hours to do a very thorough, researched, well-messaged 100 people. And so for every 3 hours that I spent doing outreach, I would sell a painting, and it was clockwork. I mean, granted, we ran out of players. We did them all. So I sold paintings to 1% of the NBA or whatever. Also, it's also 1% of the people that I can message, because not everyone on Twitter accepts DMs from people they're not following. In fact, it's probably like 1/3 of the people. So, but still, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, and I figured out that we could spend 3 hours and we could sell a painting, and like a lot of what I was doing at the beginning of this year before Project 2020 was like trying to figure out that system, knock it out, and move on to the next thing. So yeah, I mean, yes, they do have big followings, but I promise you they will respond. And if Instagram is not working, try Twitter.
That I've sent is borderline shameful, but yeah, it's how you get someplace. And I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh, how did you get your art in front of so and so? And it's like, honestly, a lot of not getting my art in front of people. Like it takes like relentless. Like, okay, I'm spending 2 hours tonight on Instagram. Twitter, I was scared of for the longest time because Twitter seems so aggressive. Like people seem so mean, but they're so nice now that I'm on it. But I'm honestly terrified of Twitter, so I didn't start my Twitter game until this last year. But Instagram was kind of a thing. Like every night, I'm going to spend time, not just on famous people, but that's a great way to kind of get your name out there. And it's funny. Like now, so Ken Griffey Jr. is like my idol. I love him. I loved him growing up. Still love him.
Okay.
And I sent him a message like forever ago, and I think I sent a follow up to like another piece, and I never heard from him. Didn't really expect to. And I did a Jackie Robinson piece just, I want to say like February or March, randomly out of nowhere. He responds to my message from like 2 years ago. So it's like, it eventually,
Totally.
I love that Jackie Robinson piece. Then we randomly talked about scuba diving, and I blacked out because he's my idol, and I never thought that would happen. So like it's weird. It's like it's taken a lot of time, and that's my biggest, like, when parents or kids are like, "How did you get into this?" It's like you have to be willing to put the work in, and you have to understand it takes time. Like for every message you send, there's going to be a lot of unanswered emails. Then you get one, and then you might get 5, and then it starts to snowball. And and that's the thing with going into the NBA. It's like I started on that a little bit with the Lakers, and once it started, it's like it's harder again than it was with baseball. But I kind of like the challenge. Like I like the kind of no one really. Like what am I gonna do now? Like what's my next out? So it's
it's another game. I mean, I think like no matter what the metrics look like for whoever's doing it, like there's just no doubt if you send more messages, you're going to get more responses.
Totally.
It's just just how it works. So we had a couple good questions. One of them: are your prints signed?
Yes, I signed everything.
Yeah. Okay, cool, great. And then also, and so like if it's an edition of, let's just say 100, are they numbered like 1 out of 100 or just?
So people actually know.
Yeah, great. I'm going to ask Kevin's question. Why rocks?
I got like 7 from the chat. So
Why rocks is Kevin. I'm going to ask that one next.
Correct. I've got like additional questions.
Okay, slack them to me.
Okay, we'll do.
Great.
So I'm just grabbing this on my desk. It's like here's a Raphael Devers I'm getting ready to ship. So my new ones have. Sorry, trying not to get the glare.
No worries.
In the corner, I've got my. Jesus, this is hard to read. My
signature. You got a cool autograph.
The number, thanks. And then next to this now is a lot of the MLB stickers are. I finally got smaller ones, so I can actually put that right next to there. Other ones, like some have them on the back.
Got it.
But yeah, all signed in the corner and then numbered out of 500 or 100. It says in the description which ones. My early prints are 100. I do have about 12 prints total that aren't numbered, but they say, just when you're looking at a print, make sure it says officially licensed hand number, or like limited run. I think I've got some like my very early prints aren't numbered, so like 20, there's a few.
And when you ship those, are they are you rolling a tube, or are you shipping it flat?
So all small ones I ship flat in a top loader. I personally don't like getting things rolled unless they have to be. So I ship everything up to 11 by 14 flat. The 16 by 20s are on 54-pound satin finished paper. So it's a little bit nicer paper, but it's not as thick. And I roll those all between butcher paper and in a 19-inch tube. I guarantee everything arrives in great condition. If it doesn't, then I take care of it. But those roll, but they do flatten out a little bit easier than cardstock.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Matt just sent over some good questions. Okay, what's the name of the brewery and the beer that you're drinking?
Parkside Brewery.
Okay.
This one's Parkside Motel. I love hazy IPAs or double IPAs or IPAs. I'm an IPA person.
Okay.
I don't like sours. I'm trying to like sours because everyone likes sours. I don't like them yet.
Okay.
They tend to be a little stronger, so I have to be careful. But no, this one, Parkside Motel. So my buddy owns this brewery and actually just gave him some prints. So he brought me a flat of these.
Nice.
They're from Port Moody, BC. They're awesome. Great people too. It's nice that I don't have to pretend to like their beer on top of it because I truly love their beer. But they've got one called Dreamboat, and the can is like this nasty hairy chest with a gold chain and like an awesome like Hawaiian shirt. It is the best beer. But something about it, it's like 6.3%, but I swear to God, it's actually 12.5. Like I swear to God, I have one of them, and I'm like, woo! But I love them. Sam Payne's one of the owners, and he's great. And BC has some good breweries now in Port Moody, so it's a whole strip called Brewers Row, and you bus out there, or you take the SkyTrain, and you walk that whole thing, and then you bus home.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, another question from James.
Okay.
Have you ever worked with the Canucks, either the team or individual players?
I have. Yeah, so I've done some stuff for their memorabilia program. I've done Pedersen, Horvat, and the other main, I can't think of his name right now. Jesus Christ. The other main player, it'll come to me. So I've done some prints for them that they've had signed by all the players, and they're in their memorabilia program. And then I messaged a few of the Canucks, and we chatted, but nothing's come of that yet because COVID happened. So
yeah,
they're my back door though. The stadium's literally like an 8-minute walk from here. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, here's another good question. This one is from Mike Roble. He asks if your parents have an artistic background.
Yes, but different. So my mom was that person that could like draw, like do the cartoon stuff on like restaurant. We grew up in a really small town. She could like do the cartoons on restaurant windows for like the holidays, just without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And she'd do them on our window at home, and she's such a professional neat freak that it always was so bizarre that she'd be willing to do cartoons on her windows for like 1 month out of the year. But so good at it. Like I can't do that. And my dad, this is cool. I gotta show you this. So my dad is really good with woodwork, and now that he's retired, he builds guitars. And so like one of my favorite things I own is he made this for me for Christmas.
Oh wow, that is gorgeous.
I don't know how to play, but yeah, he just builds, like he's just so incredible with wood. So yeah, they're both artists in like really different ways. So so they do have an art background, and they're both creative, and they're both cooks. So that's kind of art to me. So. Yeah,
totally. That's awesome. Another one from Mike Roble. Do you do motivational speaking?
I do. So I've done a few different. Thanks for whoever just ordered prints. Someone did.
Nice.
I've done a few. So I do a lot of advocating for mental health. It's
okay.
a big passion of mine, and I've actually been chatting with some publishers about a book.
Congratulations.
So I've done a lot of chatting I did the MLC Connect major level creative, which is a bunch of different people from sports, like graphic designers and stuff. I was one of the guest speakers last year. I love speaking. I love talking about mental health and kind of the way out of it. I'm also an operator for the 1-800-SUICIDE, so I spend some of my time volunteering for that. And just mental health is really important to me. So being able to kind of tie everything in, especially the more that concussions are starting to be talked about by athletes in a very real way. That's when I do motivational speeches, if you will, or I'm asked to speak at conferences. It's usually kind of a combination of sports art and how the heck I got here, and how I got here was walking through like hell for a little bit. So
Awesome. Okay, Kevin asks how long your originals take from start to end. And I will preface that by saying people ask me that question all the time, and I don't necessarily love it because everything is different. And it's also like you guys, people have seen me paint on a stream, during the course of 2 hours. I will go from a blank canvas to a damn near finished card that I submit.
A lot of time up here before that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, and it's crazy because, like, yes, I can knock out a painting in a couple hours if I don't do anything else. If the stencil's already cut, which was some work before, and like I've gotten into this discussion, which I think is interesting with some of the players, where players are like, "Yo, but how long does it take to paint that?" And I say, "Don't worry about how long it takes to paint that, because you get paid the big bucks to play football for 60 minutes, but you're not getting paid the big bucks because you're there for 60 minutes. You get paid because you spent nights and weekends and all of your life preparing for it." And so I look at it like that, is like, that's just the game. You're not thinking about all the practice. So with all of that being said, what is your process like in terms of?
I love that you preface it with that. I love that people ask, because I know it's a common like thought for people. I have a hard time answering it too, because for me it's like, you know, for some reason more time spent equals more value to people. Sure. And when I first started doing pencil drawings, they took me 35 hours to do a piece, but they weren't very cool, and no one bought them. So I found a way to kind of get faster, but at the same time, like, I've had a Tony Gwynn on my desk for fucking 5 weeks, but when I actually get the idea, I can do between 12 to 15 hours, sometimes less. And that's from start to finish. That's from creating the stencil to sanding the corners and getting ready to ship it. I also get asked, okay, well, if a print takes you 2 seconds to print and costs you $2 to make, like, what the hell? And not all prints take $2 to make, but and my answer is always similar. It's like when you go to a restaurant, do you ask why you're not paying for just the hamburger meat for the hamburger? Like, you learn how to present it better, and you're paying for like 10 years of me learning how to not make shitty things. I still make shitty things, but they're less shitty. So it's like, yeah, the time question always throws me for a loop, but I totally get why everyone asks it. But yeah, it's so different. And when I go from like an 11 by 14 to a 3 foot by 4 foot piece, the time grows exponentially for me, because trying to lay a stencil flat when you have about 5 seconds before the glue destroys it and you butcher the entire piece of wood is like greater stress to me than speaking in front of 1,000 people. Like, you have to lay that sucker perfectly. So there's a lot of different and then painting over that. I mean, time just goes exponentially. So honestly, the answer could be anywhere from 8 hours to 40 hours, quite honestly. Like,
yeah. I usually, if people need an answer, I kind of do the same thing. I say it depends, anywhere from a day to a week.
Yeah, and I've done them probably as fast as 2 to 4 hours. Like you said, it just kind of depends on if my hand executes what my mind has in store, which doesn't always happen.
Right.
And just if I'm able to laser focus and everything goes perfectly, then maybe it's a little faster. But yeah, the time one's a tough question, and it's my most popular question. So
yeah.
I hear you.
Roman had a good question here. Are your birch, I'm assuming he means your originals. He says birch print, but are the originals, do they have any kind of finish coating? Are you doing like a varnish or an epoxy or anything over the top of it?
So I've now go all natural. Before, I used to spray a varnish finish, like a matte finish, but I found it always was too glossy, where if you weren't looking at it the right way, there was a glare, and I don't like that.
You're losing part of it for sure.
Yeah, and then I did epoxy for a while, but 2, it's expensive to do epoxy. 3, it's terrifying to get no bubbles in that thing. And I have dogs with a lot of hair, so I can't tell you how many times I've set them and there's 3 dog hairs in it, and I have to start from scratch. So I don't do epoxy anymore, but it is beautiful. Like, I love the look of epoxy on wood, but I just don't offer it anymore.
So Moose Knoll keeps asking the same question, and I feel like his name's Moose Knoll. I feel like, Moose, you probably should have asked this before you ordered them. It is Friday night, and she's in Canada, and I don't know where you live. But he says he just bought 3 prints, need them by Monday for his daughter's birthday. Can you do it? I wouldn't be able to do it, and I'm in the U.S. So
I lived in the States. Like,
right.
One, it's COVID, and USPS is telling me they'll get it there when they get it there. So if that's a problem, you need a refund, let me know, because there's no way in hell it's even going to maybe even get there by Friday, to be totally honest with you.
Right.
I have a 3 to 5 day processing window, which it tells you when you order. And that's because I am a one-woman show, and I got to pack it and ship it. And in Canada, we don't do Saturday shipping. So it'll leave Monday, and then 2 to 3 days with USPS right now. Can actually be 2 weeks if they feel like it, because they have this disclaimer. So yeah, definitely read the notes when you go to print specific stuff about shipping time. So yeah, there's like negative chance that it will get there.
Yeah. So something like, I've had stuff like that where a client comes to me and it's like, I need it by this time, and it's just completely impossible. I'm like, well, I can't. And it's usually for something like this. It's a birthday, it's an anniversary, it's this. I say, well, I can't do that, but this is what I can do. I could take a video of me holding it, wishing your daughter happy birthday, and saying this is on the way, and then you give her that on the birthday, and then it comes when it comes. So, I don't know, maybe that's something that could be like a cool meet in the middle thing. Yeah.
The only guaranteed right away is the gift cards, and even then it's kind of, it's hard. So, but yeah, if you need a photo of what you're getting with a personalized message, happy to do that. But yeah.
Awesome. Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we got. Are there any particular artists that have inspired you? I think that's another great question. That one's from Mike Roble. Again.
Obviously Blake, guys.
Stop.
No, because I didn't know anything about art, and that's just the honest to God truth. What's inspired me more are people that have hustled to get somewhere in life.
Right.
That's honestly been more inspiration to me than an art style.
Sure.
And I respect the hell out of talented artists. That doesn't mean I don't respect them, but Gary Vee was like in my headphones constantly for a while. And for no reason other than sometimes like I just needed a kick in the pants to keep like, okay, I'm not, because it's weird when you're on your phone trying to get back to everyone on Instagram and like half the world's telling you you're the worst person in the world for being on your phone, yet part of you knows like that's how you need to grow your business. Like that was helpful for me. And then just like perseverance. The most inspirational thing, and I read it all the time, is The Man in the Arena by Teddy Roosevelt. It is better.
That's a great question. I need to start asking on every single interview is what's a book recommendation? Okay. The Man in the Arena.
The Man in the Arena by Teddy Roosevelt. And Brene Brown talks about it a lot. I realize that might not be everyone's wheelhouse, Brene Brown, but for me, the hardest part of putting my art out there was hearing people shit on it. Like, and be like, this is terrible, I could do this isn't good enough, and, that's not good. And then I started really reading that quote like that. It's more of an excerpt, but over and over again, like, you don't get to criticize unless you're out there in the arena, putting your out there and being vulnerable yourself. And it finally gave me that like freedom. Like, no one gets to tell me if my art's good or bad because I'm doing something they're not. I'm putting myself out
in the arena.
Yeah, and that was such a freeing. I have it everywhere. I have it on my desk upstairs. I have it on my computer. Like, I read it every time someone criticizes my art because it's like, that's cool. But until you're out here doing this yourself, like, you don't get to tell me it's bad. And that's been more inspirational to me than any success from anyone above me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, so we have another amazing artist is in the chat right now. His name's Ken Carl. I don't know if
yes.
He's so dope. So dope in the card. Like,
yes,
he does it all small, like
beautiful.
Paints direct or draws directly on a card, and it's just
beautiful.
It's phenomenal. I have I'm in line for a commission or a few, and he's just such a cool dude. We've had some great chats, and his work is phenomenal, totally phenomenal. So, anyways, what's up, Ken? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining me, Ken.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. What else we got? We do.
Someone asked. I did see on Twitter. I wanted to make sure I let me pull it up so I don't butcher what asked, because it is a question I get a lot. But it's what I
seeing a lot about people saying your chat with Willie Mays was awesome.
Oh Jesus! I can die happy tomorrow. Like that. So funny story.
Did you ever get the jacket he was wearing?
No.
That was from Frank.
Okay, there's like, so Willie's blind now. I don't know if people know that.
Okay.
So here's a honest to God funny story, but also terrifying. So I found out. So I'm leaving the Giants spring training facility, and Willie Mays is right there, and I about shat myself. I was like I was just like, you're really Mays, and like total just like fangirl wanted to ask for a picture, and the clubhouse manager's like, no, like you can't. And I'm like, okay. Like, it was so sad. I was like, meh. So I was meeting up with Massive Bumgarner, who suddenly felt like a loser compared to Willie Mays. Like, I was just like, no, but Willie Mays is over there.
Yeah.
And Madison Bumgarner, just in case you're wondering, is as country as he looks.
I
But
believe
I
it.
love
He seems awesome.
He's like, thank you, ma'am. And he had like his cowboy.
Yeah.
He was wonderful. But I was
He really
just
kind of screwed us over riding dirt bikes on the off season.
Yeah, and has like this is a bull rider. Like,
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Like, coolest guy ever.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. Right. So he, so Willie Mays says to me, he's this high, and I die a little inside. And then the clubhouse manager's like, he actually wants to talk to you. I showed him an art piece you did. So I'd done an art piece of Willie Mays and the clubhouse manager that had been there for like 30 years, and it's them on a golf cart together. It was just something someone asked me to do as a gift, and I was like, yeah, no problem. He said, so he starts talking to me, and I couldn't really understand him. He's talking about finger painting, and I'm like, what is he talking about? He's like, you gotta do some finger painting or something. And I was like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I was just so excited to like be kind of conversating with him that I didn't care. Yeah. And so he leaves, and I was like, that was weird. I have no idea what he said. And the clubhouse manager's like, he wants to talk to you about doing like a live thing where you finger paint. I'm like, I can't finger paint. Like, what the shit? Like, I haven't finger painted anything since I was like 5, and it sure isn't going to be any good. So they're like, he wants to talk with you about honestly doing something for the Willie Mays Foundation, and you'll come back tomorrow and you can sit with him. And I was so excited. And I was supposed to fly out that night, change my flight, meet him the next day, and you can see in the video I'm in like the equipment room with like all the pants and socks and everything. And I sit down with him, so nervous, and right before I sit down, a bunch of people are like, listen, like he can't be like he sometimes gets mad and just doesn't want to deal with people if you kind of annoy him. And I was like, well, that's the worst thing to know before I go into this. Like, I'm panicking. Yeah. I start talking to him, and the clubhouse manager's behind me, and I know he can't. Willie Mays is mostly blind now, so the conversation starts going sideways. Like, I can tell I'm just not asking the right questions. He's talking about finger painting. I don't know how to finger paint. I don't know what he's talking about. So I turn around and I look at the clubhouse manager, and Willie Mays goes, what are you looking at him for? He's not going to help you. And I, like, sheer panic, just, like, cold sweat, just, like, I am butchering. So I finally just said to him, like, I'm honestly so goddamn nervous right now, and I don't get nervous. You were my first baseball card. And from that moment on, like, everything was cool. And he was like, just relax. And we just started talking about baseball, and it was no longer about art, no longer about finger painting. It just was, like, this really genuine conversation. And he got me like tea, and I was talking to him about, and so when I asked about the jacket, it was kind of like, it's funny to me because it went from like being like, I wish I never met my hero, to, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And he just is such an incredible man. But unfortunately, I flew back home, and then he got sick. I think he's fine now, but he had a cold or something that kind of got the best of him for a bit. So I haven't got to really follow up with him on it, but hearing about like his collection at home and his like this little, he said he wants his home to basically be a museum when he leaves. So he's got all the original card prints of every card he's like. It was incredible. I don't think I could ever top that, to be honest with you. But I will be honest. It started out as like a train wreck, and I was like, great, I butchered the greatest moment of my life. I just ruined it. So, but yeah, he signed a baseball.
That was a story, though.
Yeah, he was super awesome. So I'm glad I got to film some of it.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, let's see here. Octavio wants to know if you want to do a collab with me.
I don't know who you are, Octavio, but love to
chat. No, he means me. He's like, will you do a collab with Blake? He's asking you to collab for me on behalf of me, I think.
I love it. Who's Octavio?
He's a good dude. Yeah, and he wants to see it happen, so we might have to make his dreams come true.
So your next video is gonna be with Octavio. I'm gonna have to tune in. Maybe I'll be lucky enough that he asks me one day, so I don't look like.
No. You're missing it. You're missing it. Octavio.
I need to actually pull up these questions right
now. Octavio wants Lauren Taylor and Blake Jamieson to make art together.
Oh.
He's saying. Octavio says, Lauren, would you like to do a collab with Blake Jamieson? That is his question.
He's just straight up asking for you. I like it.
Yeah, so he's asking for me. So, I mean, I'm down. So, sure. Okay, Octavio is going to get what he wants. But he's probably now bummed because he's like, oh, man, I was about to get a collab with Blake Jamieson. Yeah, okay. Mike Roble, man, he's going in tonight. Which pieces are you most passionate about? I assume, like, which pieces that you've done, like, have meant the most to you?
I'll show you this one. It's on my wall because it was like the first time I made one.
Those vaulted ceilings. That's awesome.
So this is my first piece I made that was, oh my god.
Red chair.
Yeah, so it was my first piece that was over, I think it's 4 foot by 3 foot. It was the first time I challenged myself to do like a piece that size, and it was a headache, and it also had no blank wood space, so it was just a lot of work, and I love that it worked out. And my other favorite piece is the first pencil drawing I did of Fenway over there, my dog, because that's how Lauren Taylor Illustrations was born. It was the first piece I ever put on social media. You know it. Fenway, introduce yourself. Fenway, she's a little shy. Fenway, and then this is Shay. There's a theme. So yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, so those are fun. I get excited about every piece I make, though. Honestly, I get super excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah. So I see a few people commenting, saying, "Ooh, nice pad. You got a loft," and I like that. You had the loft area. So that kind of brings just to a question for me.
Yeah.
Do you paint from home? Do you have like a home studio? Do you go to a studio? What's that like?
It's a solid question. So I used to work up until September. I worked out of a 415 square foot place. I lived and worked out of there. It's a 110-year-old building. This is a huge upgrade. I've worked my tail off to get into something different.
Congratulations.
Love it. Yeah. So I decided, because Vancouver's housing market's ridiculous as well as commercial, I decided to wait until I found a live-work loft. So basically my desk and where I work is upstairs. I still do shipping down here so I can, be comfortable. But yeah, I love it. I do everything out of here, and then able to kind of write off part of it as my business. Just was too much to try and afford a place that wasn't 400, like the size of a shoebox, and get a commercial space. So it works well for me. Plus with the dog, I work at such random hours. Like I'll get like inspiration at 2 a.m. I don't want to drive into a studio, so it works well for me.
Yeah, I mean the whole one of several reasons why I made my nightly live streams starting at 10:23 is because like my most creative hours tend to be like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's like my sweet spot of when I paint, and usually during the day from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. is like computer stuff.
Shipping,
like
marketing.
The business side and everything else besides like opening the paint. So I could totally get that.
And I almost did get a commercial space, but I was like, the idea of like packing up my dogs and going into an office every time I had an idea just didn't work for me. So
totally.
Yeah. So are you in a separate space?
Yeah, I have a separate space.
Are they close or?
Yeah, pretty close. Like, I mean, especially now, like in New York although it is starting to reopen, so there's more traffic now, but like, it's like a 15-minute Uber.
Okay.
If I take the subway, which I'm not now during everything that's going on, it's about 30 minutes door to door. And I spend most of my time at the studio. And fortunately, because of the Tops project, I've been able to expand. So like I have my main painting studio, which is we're calling HQ1. We have
which one has the mouse?
HQ1, however, and I don't remember if I announced this on any other streams, but Max has been freed. So late, just a few nights ago.
So let me tell you a story. When there's one, there's more than one. I hate to tell you.
No, there's not. He was the only one, and he was lonely, and he was well fed, but he wasn't that big. He's literally this big, and I'd seen him many times, and it's always the same little dude. But anyways, he was in the trash can the other night. I was going from one of my new studios, which I'll tell you about in a second, back to the HQ1. And I heard him rustling around in the trash can. I'm like, this is the time. So I took the trash bag, and we also put all of our trash like on the street. They literally pick it up just from on the sidewalk. So I took it out there. I put him on the sidewalk. I kind of tilted it sideways and opened it up so he could, like, if he wanted to run out, there's enough sustenance in that trash can that he could probably live for forever. But so whatever he chose. But I figured he could go out and meet some mouse friends and live his life. And I also told Matt that if Max makes his way back in, that's just his studio. Like he earned it. Yeah.
So my last place had a mouse too, and I'm not kidding you. I would just get it out of my head where I wasn't being jumpy over the thought of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd be like painting, and I'd look up and I'd like make eye contact with this goddamn mouse, and then I'd be jumping for weeks again.
That's
so I I felt that with my soul when that mouse scared the hell out of him. Like,
hey, Matt, will you tap in for me real quick? I got to pee hella bad. It's like it'll take me 30 seconds. Matt will come in. He'll tell you about the mouse. He's gonna exaggerate about how big it is, but
I'm gonna believe him because they're terrifying.
Nah, he's a tiny little guy. I have footage of him. It was like this big.
Like this big.
It was. I mean,
it was probably on your shoulder. Yeah. Oh,
it was. I mean, it was roughly. Yeah, it was like the size of my head.
That big and super fast, and it was taunting you, and it was like, "Yo, here I am." Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
I could not agree more. Like they scare me. I'm not afraid of spiders, but if you put a little mouse in my apartment, not okay. I feel violated. I'm scared. I don't like any of it.
I'm with you. Like a cockroach, I can deal with a cockroach. I can, whatever. A mouse, that's okay.
And when I moved out, the worst was like, so I lived in such an old building that had like the pull-out Murphy beds because it was from 1901.
Oh wow.
And it was a hotel at one point, so the Murphy beds. But the Murphy beds were like, if you can imagine like the place where monsters hide, it was in this goddamn Murphy bed cavity. And of course, like it's also where I would throw things I didn't really want to throw away yet, but didn't have. So I had like old quilts and shit in there, and I moved and I pulled them out. Everything's been like burned and thrown away because I found like mouse droppings on some of them, and I was like, nope. The mouse owns this, so my sister's gonna see this, and I'm gonna regret admitting this, but she knitted me a blanket that took her forever. That bitch went in the trash immediately. I saw like a turd on it, and I was like, nope, mouse touched it. We're done here. Like, I don't want that. I want nothing to do with that blanket ever again, because I'll always imagine the mouse laid in it. Ugh. And yeah, same thing. Like this, like honestly, not being dramatic, is actually like this big, but it is this big. If anyone asks, it's huge.
Yeah,
huge.
Absolutely. I mean, I would have done the same thing if my sister.
I laughed so hard when I saw your video because I'm like, does anyone else get this weird about mouses? Oh, yep, mice. Yep, you do.
Yep.
So
yep.
we're on the same page. I would be, and then you can't calm down for like hours. You swear to God to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just on edge. Tony, I haven't bought a third print yet, but I am getting a Judge and a Cody Bellinger print of Lauren's, and I'm trying to decide which third print I'm going to get. So,
but can it be here by Monday?
I don't care. Lauren, this is awesome.
I'm really to admit that it's never going to get there by Monday. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Moose man. He said it's okay. I don't know if he was kidding or not to begin with, but he said it's fine.
I can't pay attention. I just opened the YouTube news. How do you?
Now you got the comments going on, huh?
Oh, I also see a thumbs down. That's fun. You just like this. Thanks a lot.
There's always one.
There's always one, right? Whenever I get sad when someone dislikes my stuff, I look at Adele's music videos because tell me to my face she doesn't have a good voice. She gets like thousands of thumbs down. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think like. And honestly, like I think in the art space, if my art doesn't piss at least a couple people off, I probably didn't push hard enough.
You're not doing it. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, another one from Mike Roble, who is the main source of questions.
Mike's like a fan right now.
Is there any artist that you would like to contact but you haven't been able to yet? And I will go further to add player.
Do you have an artist while I'm thinking?
Do I have an artist that I haven't? Yeah, actually. So King Saladin, who is wildly talented, we did a group show together the end of last year with the Philadelphia 76ers. Went really well. We met, briefly at the show, had a chat. He was super nice dude. I love his work. It's phenomenal. And I love what he's doing in Topps Project 2020. And I have tried every way that I know how to try and get in contact and just chat with the dude. And ultimately, I would love to have him like on one of these. But even if he wasn't about that, like even just a phone call and just talking business and life and art. And I haven't been able to. And I've had other artists that know him have reached out like on my behalf, being like, yo, Blake's tight. You should talk to Blake. And for whatever reason.
What did you do?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I think.
Now that's my new person I want to try.
Yeah, so I would love to talk to King Saladin. I have tremendous amount of respect for his craft and what he does, and I would just love to talk to him more. So that's mine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, there's lots of art. I mean, really, I feel like every other day I see a new artist where I'm like, Jesus. Claudia, I just saw her Dodgers stuff on Twitter. I mean, we've chatted. I have not chatted to her, but God, I don't know. Like a lot of the people you've chatted with, like I'd love to chat with most of the Topps 2020 artists, just because I love that they're like meshing this idea of modern practices with antique views of art, because I think that's been the biggest like pushback for me, and honestly for a long time what kept me from wanting to put my art out there is like you get like Karen or Susan that went to art school and was like, did you do this all by hand? And you're like, well, no, I did it. And they're like, you're not an artist. And it was really hard for me for a long time to accept that, like, you know, there's a lot of different ways to make art. And that's been the coolest thing about Top 2020 is you look at Ben Baller. I mean, the fact that he does jewelry, yet he's managed to make these cards out of, I don't really know how he does it. I've never talked to Ben Baller. But,
I talk to Ben often, actually. He's like he's like a mentor to me, honestly. Go ahead.
And I'm really glad that worked out, but that's about all.
I think I'm in contact with about half the artists, and they're awesome. And honestly, I will introduce you to anyone if there's anyone that you want to talk to. Happy to make those connections. Like Gregory Siff, for example, I see someone mentioning him. Such a cool dude. Love his art. I've loved his art I've been aware of his work for longer than any of the other artists in the project. I've just followed his journey for a long time.
There was one I looked at, and I was trying to, and this isn't a rude question, it's just I kind of ignorance on my part. One of the Topps 2020 artists, it looks like he does like kind of old school clothes style on his Instagram. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Old Man Allen.
Yes. So talk to me about him. What does he do? I
would love to talk to him too. I haven't talked to him yet. He's going a totally different direction than a lot of us other artists are with the project. And I think, like, you know, if I'm being completely honest, at the very beginning, I was frustrated that he was using different images than the reference images that we were all given, because we were kind of given the same instructions. And I actually asked Topps, I said, can I use a different picture? They said, no, you got to stick with this. And then I see Old Man Allen's first card come out, and there's a totally different picture of like Tony Gwynn, I think. And I'm just like, what the heck, Topps? Like, what, you just told me I couldn't do it. Why does he do it? And they're like, well, we're not happy about it, but he's doing his thing. Just let it be. If you could just use the reference images, please, that's great. I'm like, okay, fine. And so there was like a time at the beginning of the project where I was like, I don't know, I just felt like it was like a little disrespectful to the other artists to like basically break the rules that we're all given. But now, like, that I've seen the project, and Topps has also come back to me and said, hey, by the way, if there is a player or a picture that you want to use, you let us know. Find the image on Getty. We can source the licensing for you. Like,
that's the key. Got to be Getty.
It's got to be Getty. And so they've come back and told me, well, you can do that now. And I said, no, actually, I'm cool with all the same. You know, we're recreating these iconic baseball cards. I want to use the iconic pictures, but I got to be honest, like, Old Man Allen's cards have grown on me a ton. Like, I thought his Ken Griffey was awesome, and I get it. Like, it's just different, and different is art, in my opinion. And I think that Topps did such a good job, like, curating such a wide variety of artists, him being one of them. Like, I don't know, like, from the outside looking in, I see him as like an Instagram influencer.
Totally. But well, like, look at his page.
I don't know.
I love it, but I don't fully understand.
Sure.
Like, is he selling the looks? I don't think he is. I think he's just.
I don't think so.
I'm just looking through it right now. Like, I spent a good hour the other night just looking through it. Like, this is cool. Like, I like what he's done. He's got the, you know, part of the struggle with Instagram is trying to make your page look appealing when someone looks at it, and with a theme. And he's done a really good job with it. But then I was like, how does this relate to this? Like, I've been trying to kind of learn about the artists. God, I'm going to just butcher this again. Okay, who's the artist that draws literally boobs for a living?
Fucci.
Yes. So that was another one where I was like, you know, Topps, that was a risk. I like it, though. Because, like, you know, you have collectors that are so set in their ways about how a card should look And I love that they piss so many people off to begin with, because now it's kind of it's changed this perspective a little bit, and I love that. And when I looked his art up, I was like, huh. But it's pretty cool to think, okay, that guy, it's so different. You know, it's kind of controversial for some. Yet he's creating a baseball card for kids. Like, I just love this, and adults, but I love this kind of idea of taking these artists where you first look at their page and you're like, what exactly is their style? It's not what I would think when I think of a baseball card. And that's what I think is really cool. So honestly, any of these artists, there's a lot of them where I'm like, that'd be kind of cool to like hear their thoughts on how to, I mean, some of these guys, it's got to have been a little bit different to be approached by a sports. Like,
well, that's like, I think like that was the genius in Topps executing this idea. And it's crazy. So I actually, Ken Carl, I don't know if he's still here, but just phenomenal work in the baseball space. And I believe that I actually was introduced to his art because you and me and him were all tagged in the same thing. And then I was like, oh, let me check out these other people. And I checked out his art and I was like, oh my God, these baseball cards are just insane. And like, that's his niche, and he does these cards. And the first thing I thought was, man, I don't know how he didn't get invited to Project 2020. And then I started thinking about it more and thinking about the big scope of things and picking artists like Fucci and like Old Man Allen and like Ben Baller and Don C, who's like a fashion designer. So like, I think that Topps specifically tried to choose a very like eclectic group of artists that intentionally were not in the sports card or the hobby like kind of world. And so as soon as that clicked, I'm like, oh yes, it's going to bring new people into the hobby. Like Fucci has a totally different audience than I do, than Old Man Allen does, than Ben Baller. And all these people now are coming in and caring about baseball cards. And I think that they nailed it.
You know, when at first everybody's like, what the hell are they thinking? And I'll be honest, at first I was like, oh, these are different. But now it's like, they did a really smart thing by, like you said, bringing all these different audiences into the world of baseball art. And I think you said this at one point, like, so a $20 card, it's like you're actually getting a small piece of art, a print that usually you
tiny
cannot
painting.
You can't get, like, I don't have any $20 prints, and I'm not even in the Topps 2020 project. And some of these guys have such a big following, it's like you will never get a $20 print. This is an opportunity to grab something through Topps that, yes, it's baseball, but it's also a mini print. And, you know, there's a lot of opinions on whether or not, you know, they were valued too high at one point. Now they're leveling out. It's like, but who knows? You know, like Andy Warhol's art wasn't loved for the longest time because it was, you know, too different and modern. And now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd love to have an original that I could just like retire with right now. So, you know, it's really fascinating. And as someone that doesn't know a lot about art and art history, it's educated me quicker than anything else has, to be honest with you, because it's fascinating, because it's in the realm of that I can like pay attention to without getting bored. But I think it was really smart. And every time I look up a new artist, like the one, I feel so bad that I keep saying the one that, and I apologize for not knowing names. I got hit in the head 4 years ago. It's not my fault.
No worry about it. I'm here to help.
It's entirely my fault. It's nothing to do with the injury, but I like to blame it on that. The outline, the pen outline of everything.
Yeah, Joshua Vitas.
Thank you.
Yep.
Like also different, and people are like, oh, all he does is outline the players. What the hell, my 5-year-old will do it? It's like, no, go look at his page. Like, he's built this whole following around what he does, and no one else does that. Mm-hmm. So absolutely. I just love how they've done that, and they've kind of pushed past the initial Facebook comments that are like, what is this? Because hey, people are buying them and people are selling them for a lot. So and honestly, I think a lot of that has to do with people like you and FDOT, and people are getting online and like spending time with the buyers, because I have to say, and I'm not just trying to compliment you because I'm on your video, it's hard not to like you. So it's hard not to want to learn more about your journey, and then you want to learn more about the other artists. So really, it's quite ingenious, I have to say. As someone who was rejected hard by them, it's hard to admit that they did a really good job.
Yeah, no, they did. They
really did. They did a great job. So
yeah. No, I totally agree. Let's see if Mike Roble has any more questions for us. This is a good one. Okay, Dan Curtis asks, what is your favorite Project 2020 card so far?
Come on. That's hard.
It is hard.
This is really hard. I kind of like, just because of the climate we're in, the good and with the face mask. I thought that was kind of smart, because there will
Very
be,
timely.
because I think it's one of those cards where people are going to be like, what the hell? Why does he have a face mask?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a risk, but really smart to do that, because it's going to be a card that will always probably at some point make people want to know about it. And then once you want to know about a card, you end up learning about the artist. So I thought that was very smart on his part. I
It was
also love
smart for him to put it on Doc Gooden, who goes by the doctor, like Dr. K, whatever. Like, that was just, the timing was perfect.
It's perfect. And I love that he went with the simple blue mask. I just thought it was really well done. I loved your Mattingly. I also loved Nolan Ryan. Actually, I take that back. But they're all great. And then I love, it took me a minute to understand Ben Baller's cards, but I like the subtle sunglasses he added on his last one. I like that. I like
little shades on the Hitman. It's great.
Just a little bit of.
I mean, yeah, it's fun, man. It's crazy that Ben and I's relationship started with a little light Twitter beef, but like we squashed it so quick that like we were literally like, I don't know if it was it was either that night or the next day, we were like on a phone call and just chatted, and like kind of, it was a misunderstanding essentially. And he didn't understand how the project worked and the print runs. And I was a little bit quick to like snap judgment and thinking that he was putting us down when really he was just didn't know kind of how it worked.
And I think he's one of those personalities. I'm terrified he's going to come at me for saying this, but he's one of those personalities that's very, very confident and strong. And for someone like me, I don't operate quite like that. So I always think it's aggressive, when really some people are just naturally very confident and very.
Well, also, like, I think, and I think even if he sees this and hears this, he'll agree. Like, there's the persona of Ben Baller is this whole brand online, and part of it is that like brashness and just like unapologetically confident, and with the swag. But like on the phone, on a personal level, like we're having a conversation, it's not like he's saying like dickish things to me. Like, he's a really nice and like thoughtful dude, and like is very generous with his time and like giving me.
I think he'd get where he's at if he was that person.
For sure. But like, I mean, he's really he's one of my like closest friend artists of the project, alongside F. Dot and Gregory Siff. Tyson Beck is up there, but I mean, F. Dot, Gregory Siff, and Ben Baller are the guys that I talk to every single week. We're like catching up. It's not even just work related. Sometimes it's just on a personal level.
Yeah, I also do love Tyson Beck's cards. That reminded me.
Tyson Beck's.
I mean, he seems really. I like people like that. I'm always fascinated with, because I wish I had a little bit of that, but at the same time, like, we're all our own brands. Like, Blake sells cards and he has a style with art, but you also have your own personal brand, which is this guy that gets on YouTube, that spends time, reciprocating with card gifts, and has this, you have a brand that's outside of just what you create with art. That's the question actually that just popped up that someone asked me that I was trying to find on Twitter. For me, it's like my full story is a lot of my brand, and using part of that to advocate for mental health. For Ben Baller, it's being this like badass jeweler that gives no fucks. Like, that's just the way, and I love that. I love that people are their own brands, and I think that's how you become successful, is when you market yourself too. And I think he's done a great job with that. So
he's killing it. All right, so Krista asks, what advice do you have for women looking to get more involved in the sports industry with their specific skill sets? She also has this other one, which she says she has on Twitter, asking if it was difficult for you to find your way in a historically male-dominated pursuit for your art.
Krista, thank you for getting on here next, because I was trying to find it a few minutes ago. A couple things. Always a little challenging. So I've been a woman in the sports world all the time. Like, ever since I was little, I was the kid, playing t-ball with all the boys. And I say this in a lot of the speeches I do. I got made fun of all the time for it. And it's okay, though. And now as I get in the sports field, I'm always questioned. Like, I get the guy on Twitter that'll be like as if I'm Rain Man, if I know Kershaw's ERA from like January through July in high school his senior year. It's like, no one knows that shit. Like, I can Google it for you. and I get questioned a lot more, and I get my art is stared at. Like, I got criticized for using not even criticized, just instantly pointed out Don Mattingly. I used New Yankee Stadium, and like a part of New Yankee Stadium, he didn't play in there. And it's like, yes, I know that, but at the same time, like, I make mistakes, and I've always questioned if I actually understand baseball. And that's probably the hardest part, is like trusting and not trying to prove it to them just because I feel like I have to, because the most freedom I've gotten is knowing that I know enough about baseball to be successful at what I do. And if I didn't, I wouldn't want to do this for a living every day, because I'd be faking loving something that I stare at all damn day. And so, yeah, it's been hard in that aspect, trying to like prove myself as someone that knows sports. But there's also, like, I've always loved a challenge. So it's kind of, I mean, we're in a cool time where I think it's starting to shift. I mean, you see a female first base coach the other night. You see, Yankees have had, you're starting to see more of it. And I think that's helpful. And, art is one path where there are female artists. So it's not like I'm doing anything too crazy like sports, yes. But, okay, so funny. There's a gal named Jessica, and I'm afraid I'm going to butcher her name. So I actually sent her a message asking how to pronounce her name. And she sent me a message back.
You're literally so cute. Yeah, it's just Jessica Kleinschmidt. So just Klein and Schmidt pushed together, basically.
Kleinschmidt. She sent it to me 5 minutes ago. So
Awesome.
Jessica Kleinschmidt.
I love that.
She's one of the reporters. Like, she's doing journal stuff, like journalism with baseball. And again, I can't imagine being someone like that who people are reading to understand. Like, I'm interpreting a game for them, and they're a dude with an ego. And so I feel like you just got to keep trusting your own faith in it and trust your own skill, and the rest follows. And you know what? 99% of the people now that follow my art don't question me.
It's awesome.
Don't need to. And if they did, they wouldn't be buying my art. So,
Right.
you just got to stick with it.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Let's see it here. We got some more.
Stay away from Joe Namath. I just saw that. It cracks me up.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, okay. We skipped this one earlier. This was from Andre M.
Okay.
He said, hey, Lauren, can you please tell us what it was like to meet Russell Wilson and Sierra, and giving him an original painting?
Well, I want to tell you he's a jerk in real life, but he's just as nice as he seems on TV.
He seems super nice.
He's so nice. Like, I mean, so nice. So I met him after the game, and he had like a million things going on. They won in overtime. It was a cool game, but I only had about a minute with him, but he was fully focused on the art and me for that 1 minute. And I always think that's pretty cool when you've got 100 people asking you shit, bugging you for stuff. I didn't get to meet Ciara. She was it was Russell Wilson's mom's birthday, I believe. So she was in the suite with him, and he came down from that to meet me with the art. And giant hug, like really nice. And I have nothing but positive things. I would like to tell you he's all a lie, and he's not that
Seems
nice.
like
He's
a good
so
dude.
nice. He's exactly how he seems on TV, which is really down to earth, God loving, good man. So it was awesome. It was a big one as someone that grew up in Seattle and so close to Seattle. All my friends are in Seattle. Like, that was the moment they thought I was like famous for a minute. So,
Dude, that's awesome. I recently just did a.
I saw Russell.
Yeah, Russell with that. That was like it wasn't for him, but it was for it was like a charity auction. The winner chose that, which is cool. But now I have the stencil cut, so I could potentially do one and try and get it to him. Ship it to the training facility.
If anyone would be humble and kind about it, it's him. Like, it's a little overwhelming. They just had their subs today. His wife gave birth today, so that's fun.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. Named Win.
Yes.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Don't want to name him.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude. All right, what else? Matt. All right, we got those.
All this stuff.
Okay, we got Mike Roble, killing it. He's back. He's asking if you can do WNBA players or women's soccer players.
This is so hard for me. So I hate saying this. There's just not a market for it yet, and I hate that. I also don't have a license with that. So what I'm probably going to end up doing, because women's sports deserve attention, is do originals. So I'll probably start working my way into originals with those, because I don't have quite the following yet, I think, to succeed with prints and go after a license. But
Right.
I think I saw somewhere someone asked about the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, and yes, absolutely, I will. I do plan to do more female stuff. I mean, it's only fitting.
Yeah.
That chick sports does.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good.
I get asked that a bit more and more these days, and yes, I will for sure.
Awesome. I feel like this is a good time to, who is that? That was Mike that asked. So there is Megan Rapinoe print, or not a print, original, available still on my website.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
I thought that is shocking.
I'm surprised that one didn't sell. But I know it's a lot of money, but it's
a niche
not my
market.
career. I know. I love that painting. Matt almost didn't let me put it up. He's like, I might just want to buy this straight out. Like, let's put it up and let's see what happens.
Come on, pull the trigger, pay for it.
I know.
Come on, get it.
Yep.
It is a very cool. I'm going to share it tonight too. I think it's just everything from that photo to the way that you execute. I think is very well done. So, have you done any MBA?
So I did a Candace Parker.
Oh God. Terrifying. Alexa's about to remind me of something. It might be something like put pants on or something. Hold on. I put the worst reminders on Alexa. Just saying.
That's hilarious.
Alexa, stop! I don't know what I told her to tell me, but it's probably something like make breakfast or something stupid. So
That's hilarious. Do you like Alexa? I haven't messed with it.
I like Alexa in a sense that I can't remember to do things these days because I have so much on my plate that I'll just shout at her from wherever I'm at.
Yeah.
Like if I'm at something like, Alexa, remind me to call so, and it's helpful, but because I've gotten good now at just snoozing reminders on my phone without even thinking about it. So at least she shouts at me on every device I have in the apartment.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so someone else, P.S. Wyatt asked, this is a licensing question.
Yeah.
And I think this is more for me, but I'm not sure. Maybe you know licensing, so maybe you'll have
I'm going to let you answer it.
So it says, can you run into issues by repurposing cards? You do the art cards. I cut them up and use them on my coasters. Multiple people have told me I need permission from Topps, but I don't know. I would tell you, Wyatt, that the coasters that you sent are one of ones. They're absolutely gorgeous. I don't think you're ever going to run into an issue with that, unless you are marketing them in a way where you're like promoting the fact that it's like Topps cards and you're pushing the fact that it's the brand, that there would ever be confusion that the brand and your products are somewhat linked. From my perspective, when I do my card art, my thinking is, well, Topps printed these cards. They got paid retail value. It is now out in the market. This is now just an object. If I go and paint on any object, I don't owe money to the person who made the object. I already bought it from them. They already got paid. So I don't think it's an issue, but I'm not a lawyer. So,
This is not legal.
This is not legal advice, but I've seen the coasters. They are awesome. I don't think that you're going to run into any issue as long as you just say, every coaster, this is an original one-of-one coaster, piece of art by me, Wyatt. Any input on that or any thoughts?
I agree 100%. You always will just get into trouble when you duplicate something. So yeah, I think you can slice and dice whatever you want. Same with photography. Like you can make, there's so many moments in sports where there's an epic image that you want to redo, and that's just the beauty of sports. And you don't have to worry about getting permission from the lucky photographer that was on the field that got the image until you start making duplicates. So I agree, as long as you're not marketing it as like Blake's art or Topps art, and you're saying this is your one-of-one original, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
But again, not legal advice. That's just from what I've kind of learned over the last few years. That's my understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's see what else we got.
A lot of purposing of cards I've noticed lately. So.
Yeah, we're starting a movement.
Yeah.
We bought. So I told you earlier, I got Blake.art, which that one wasn't that expensive, but it wasn't cheap. We also bought cardart.com, and we're in the process of trademarking it, and we're going to be launching that in August, and it's going to be It's gonna be rad, and it's gonna be a lot more than just like me splatter painting on cards. We have ideas to have it be a collective of tons of different artists and artists that want to do basically art cards in whatever style that they do, and give them a platform to be able to promote and sell that stuff. So I'm all in on the embellishing cards and altering cards market. I think is going to be a fun thing, and it's also so cool to take like a base card that most people, unless you're like a fan of that one like specific random player, like would just consider like a junk card, and then you turn it into a tiny piece of art, and then all of a sudden it's like it's a one of one and it's priceless. And
So
I think there's
like, yeah, and when you cut up a card, to me, it's no different than when you like, I don't know, throw it away or burn it or some shit that people do when they're younger with cards. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I think purposing is cool, and I think if there is an issue with it, there's enough of it going around where people are gonna like know if there's an issue with it, and I just don't think there is right now. Like have you seen the gentleman that's putting like made his own paint that kind of looks like bubblegum and is doing the bubblegum prints on the back?
Of course. Matthew Lee Rosen. I have several of his cards. They're awesome. They're right back here in my closet. And I would love to actually have him on a stream too. And when we launch card art, he's one of the guys that I'm going to hit up and be like, hey, we're launching this platform. If you'd like to be part of it, I think it would be a great fit. Because it's totally unique, and it's card art.
Yeah. Like I think it's time. I think the industry can always use something new and exciting, and baseball cards, that's been my biggest beef with only allowing one, like Topps or one person to have dual licenses is, for the longest time, the like art card was Alan Ginter, and it's like, there's so much cool stuff out there. I love that we're finally starting to see kind of with Topps 2020, but also with these people just kind of taking one-off cards. Like, it's great to see, because for the longest time, it's been like a photo with a different font or like a different border. And I just, I think it's good for the hobby. I really do. There's, and who knows if those will end up being, collector's items one day, but I think the fun of it is not knowing. Like, if I grab a Blake, paint splattered card, is it going to be as big as, I don't know, a base card, but there's a low per. You just don't know. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh
Tony,
my God. Tony, I'm not shocked you're asking this question. Tony is real bummed sad on the first Pete Alonso. I love you for being that sad about it. I hope to start doing some current players in the next few weeks, especially as we start to get, like we've discussed, everything has to be based off the Gettys. So I've kind of been waiting for a few games to happen and get some, because some teams have new threads, and they all have new Nike threads. So trying to, again, I have to tie everything to a Getty image. So kind of now that Garrett Cole's in a Yankee uniform, Mookie Betts is in the Dodgers, getting to see some players in the new, like Padres have a brand new uniform. So start looking for newer players in the next few months. And by newer, I mean not retired Cooperstown one-of-one. So it's going to be a tough one to beat that Pete Alonso. Everyone talks about that one. And
it's a great one.
Oh, what? That's one I wish I did more.
That reminded me of something. So baseball's back.
Yep.
Are you watching it? If so, what teams are you following?
I will always watch baseball. It is a little bit weird, but I've already adjusted to the no crowd thing. It just the cutout still cracked me up a little bit. There'll be like a grown ass man and then like a child's face, and they're the same size, and it just cracks me up every time. It'll be like right behind home plate. Like there was one today in the what was I watching? The Mets and I just started laughing. I was like, that is so unnatural looking. But
I want to bring my whole team to a game and have a section, and we're going to do like a giveaway with some fans and invite like fans to join us at the game. If you want to join.
I think the Athletics did this, and the Athletics I love them. They're just, they're innovative. They've got one of the worst ballparks. They just find a way to. Yes, there you go. The Giants and A's I spent time with for the Battle of the Bay, and I have not a single bad thing to say about either organization.
Yeah. Did you do art for the Battle of the Bay art show a couple years ago?
I did. Yeah, I did last year for the first time.
Last year. Shoot, because I did it a couple years ago. I think it was the first Battle of the Bay art show that they did, and I did a Willie Mays and a Ricky Henderson.
Me too. I did Mays and Henderson for mine. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're.
That too. Yeah, we are. Okay, next baseball question.
Yeah.
Are you playing any fantasy baseball?
No, that's one thing I don't do. I feel like I have like 3 spare minutes every day to like have a snack and tea, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm so damn competitive. I think I get way too into it. I do watch baseball like every day. It's on. Well, now
Yeah.
it's back. I've got 2 TVs, my MLB app on my iPad, my computer, because you never know what big moment's going to kind of inspire the next art piece. So, like, I loved it today. Like, these games are brand, like, first game, Mets, and, like, who gives a shit in the big scheme of things. But it matters more now that there's less of the season. But I was so excited watching DeGrom. You know, his first 5 pitches are hitting 100 miles an hour. Like, that's exciting to me because you don't know what to expect, and then you see, you know, Freeman make a diving catch double play, and it's like, okay, baseball is here. It does seem weird, but the intensity is still there. Players are still into it, and it kind of just, it made me realize, like, it's not going to be that bad. Like, it's still going to be fun, and it's still baseball, and these guys are competitive no matter how many people are in the stands. So
Totally.
Like,
Yeah, so it's interesting because, you know, I told you the story about how I kind of met this NFL manager and got into the NFL work kind of just out of right place, right time.
Yep.
And so I didn't actually, like, I like the 49ers. I also spent some time in Florida as a kid, so I like the Bucks. But, like, I didn't actively really watch or follow football, and I never played football. And so I started using fantasy football when I started getting into that market of saying I paint athletes and I'm going to start with football and I'm going to conquer this world. I literally, like, I would sign up for multiple fantasy leagues, and then across the different leagues, I would just try and draft either players that I've already painted or players that I like aspired to paint. And so, like, that's like how I learned the game of football and who the players were and who was good, because I was seeing it. And at first, like, my team sucked because I was only picking the players I painted, and I kind of started, you know, not all the way at the top, but you know, but it was awesome because, like, it made it so that, like, somebody would be playing, like, you know, the Panthers would be playing the Cardinals, and I would never watch that game. But like before, I would never watch it. But because a client was there and he was on my fantasy team, and it went well, and then I could text him and be like, "Hey man, great game," and he'd be like, "Holy shit, you were watching my game?" And I'm like, "Of course I was watching your game." So I am playing fantasy baseball this year because I do think baseball is an untapped market for me beyond Project 2020, and so I'm using it to try and learn. Honestly, like, my knowledge of current players is so not good. Or non-existent.
Baseball too, because it's always changing. 40-man run, like, it's a tough one to keep up on, even for someone that watches a gazillion games a week. Like, it's hard. It is hard, and it's a great idea though for me to think about doing that with other sports. So I like that. I like that idea because it does. It makes you pay attention a lot more when you're kind of like trying to see, like, March Madness. I always pay attention when I gamble on the bracket.
Yeah, of course, of course.
I am well aware how everyone's doing when I've got a team, and I used to just pick based on what team name I like better.
Totally. I did that just the other night with the draft, with half the draft.
You gotta pick based on something.
Yeah, I picked Will Smith because I love the other Will Smith.
Will Smith.
And then I think I had to drop him, right? I dropped him today, right, Matt? Matt's helping me manage the team. He actually understands current baseball. I just go off of look and feel.
That's a keeper. He's afraid of mice. And helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've got a lot to learn. You know, the sport I get asked a lot about, and I'm terrified in terms of licensing, because I feel like it would probably be a doozy, is like soccer or football on the world map. Like, you know, I don't know enough about soccer at all.
Well, Matt's soccer knowledge is also very extensive. So if you need to borrow him, I'll lend him to you.
Might need to. If I ever get a mouse again, we're going to be scared together. But that's what makes baseball art so fun for me, is like I feel very confident when I'm trying to tell a story. People ask me to do soccer all the time, and I'm like, I get to Wikipedia the shite out of this. Like, it's a weird realm for me, because it's like, how do you tell a story when you're just trying to pick up on a couple of Google searches? So I get what you mean, and I think it's worth. That's a very smart idea, because it would entertain me enough to keep up on it. But I'm competitive enough where I would check it.
Yeah. No, I do, you know, at this point now with fantasy football, I know enough now that now I'm just doing it to win. And like last year I was in, I don't know, 3 or 4 leagues and I won all but one of them. I think I got, like, I was dominant last year in fantasy football, and it's going to be tough to go from that to like fantasy baseball. We already tweeted out the rosters. Matt's like, who's going to win, Blake or Matt? Because we have bets. And everyone seems to think Matt's going to win, but I don't know. I like the guys' names, so we'll see.
Hey, sometimes that's the best, you know?
Yeah,
Going
absolutely.
straight up with names or jerseys or hair.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got. We got those. Next Pete Alonso, we got that. If Topps did the 2020 project in 2022 or later, would Lauren want to be a part of it? Matthew Burke asks that.
Yeah, I've been asked this before, and I will totally admit, I was a little bitter for the first little bit after Topps rejected me, but it has been a blessing. It's made my art better, and here's my answer for here on out. I don't think it'll change. I would love to. I don't know that I would approach them, but if I was ever approached, I absolutely would. And if for no reason other than seeing the bond you've created with all these artists and kind of the community you've built, it's not about Topps for me at that point. It's about, the reason. And what they're doing with sports art, I can't not be grateful for. Like, it's helped me. What you guys are doing has helped me too, because people start looking at sports art, and then my name eventually comes up. So I will always be grateful for this project, and if I was asked to do it, I absolutely would.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. Same. I would do any project like this in a heartbeat.
Totally.
And I would have anyways before, but now that I really see like the potential and also like I feel like I'm now immersed in the baseball world, and like for me that's the next frontier. And beyond Project 2020, I expect to do a lot of work in the baseball space, and then also within the card collecting space. Like, it's reignited the fire of collecting cards, and my PC is now ridiculous. Thanks to everyone in the hobby is like so generous that people are just sending like every Monday. We do Mail Monday, and we're just opening
I want
mail.
a Mail Monday. I know I see your
Oh my God.
I get sent like random spandex pants to try on, and like I don't get any baseball cards.
I haven't gotten spandex pants yet.
I get a couple bats, which I mean collecting games that jam, and those are amazing. But yeah. I'm always jealous of your Mail Mondays, and like I see
the Mail Mondays are wild, and it's like it's half and half, and I think that part of the reason that people are just generous in the hobby in general, but from the very beginning of this project, and to my knowledge, I'm the only artist that's done this, that I said, if you mail me your card, if you buy my card and mail it to me, I will sign it for free.
I love it.
There's nobody else that's doing mail-in autos like that.
There was a bit of a price for one specific person, but we know who we're talking about. Where it's like, how much?
Yeah.
So I think it's great.
Yeah.
You get my favorite. I don't know if it's the same for you, and tell me if I'm wrong and what is your favorite, but nothing makes me happier than seeing a kid holding my art, or a kid asking about art, or just any sort of brag about art. But like seeing kids hold a piece of art of mine is like my favorite thing in the world.
Totally.
So you know what? If someone sent me, I already signed my art, but if someone had sent me, I would love. I just love it.
I think so. I love that. I love seeing kids holding art that they did because they watched a stream and were inspired. And there's been a lot of that. And honestly, even adults. I didn't start painting full time till I was 30, and I think that has resonated with a lot of people, and they're stuck at home, and a lot of people are underemployed or unemployed or working from home, and so they have some free time that they might be spending on a commute, and now they're painting a little bit. Like, that's so cool to me.
I love that, because painting's so just good for, even if you don't make it, it's just good for your mind to sometimes be creative. And
totally.
It's funny because one of my Alexa reminders yesterday, I've had this idea for like 3 weeks now, and I just need to launch it, was to do a kids coloring contest. So every time I hand out art, I usually get a few copies of it signed, and kids love autographs. I know I did. Like, I don't give a shit who it is. If it's autographed and you tell me they're famous, I am so excited. Probably still a little bit like that as an adult, but I'm like, I want to hold a kids coloring contest where they can send me art, and part of it is I will happily do live videos to kind of show it off to the world, and then randomly select, not by talent or any of that stuff, because I never want a kid to feel like it's picked on based on that, but then send a few autographs out. And I've had this idea for a bit. I just need to think of the logistics of like actually.
I love that.
But kids are so passionate, and when you get to see a kid who's not worried about, that's why I always love coaching kids too in sports. There's an age where you start caring about what other people think, and everyone goes through it. I'm still in that age sometimes, but like that age before where no one cares, like where they don't care and they just do it out of pure happiness and enjoyment and what makes them happy is like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
In any sort of like self projection. So art's a great way to see that. And kids are just no F's and they just make it how they want. I just love that. It's
so this ties back. This comes full circle to earlier when we were talking about how much time we spend on a painting and people trying to put a price tag on, like if it's quick, it should be cheap.
They break it down by how many.
So hours or whatever. So my dad shared a quote from Picasso that I love that says, I've spent my entire life trying to learn how to draw like a child. And I think that that's like encapsulates exactly what you were just saying. And like, it's true. Like you're just so free and you don't care what people think and you're just like going for it.
Yep.
And, you know, I see it in my nephew, my sister, Tess has two beautiful, amazing kids.
On the video, I feel like I've seen Tess.
Yeah. She's in there. She's in there a lot. So, so she has a 4-year-old, 4.5 now, Jackson, who just loves painting. They set up an art studio like in the garage. He's painting on baseball cards. We're sending each other painting and mail and stuff back and forth. And he just loves it. And like, it's so funny. He's so confident and he's killing it. And it's just so awesome to see.
Yeah, maybe we should do something together with kids drawing. We should think on that.
I like that.
If nothing else, I definitely want to do it because I just think it's so good to just express yourself and not worry about, you know, the outcome. It's so fun when I do see kids' art because it's so, I mean, that's why art's used in psychology for kids. Like they just draw. It's like, I just love it. So anytime a kid's involved in any sort of message or, I don't know, that's just my favorite part. So.
Totally. I love it.
I love that you're, you know, willing to engage back and it's not all about the profit. It's about just, you know, I don't know.
It's rarely ever about the profit, to be honest.
No. And you know what? At the end of the day, like when you're a good person and you try and foster, you know, happiness, not just, you know, revenue, it's full circle. It's a lot like what we were talking about giving art to players. Like there will be a benefit and you just sometimes it's not right that moment. And when you focus on what the immediate benefit is, you're kind of always chasing a dollar, and to me it's not as fun as, you know, I don't know, I've just seen like the way my business has grown over 3 years. It's not because of like an ad I place on Facebook. It's the same people that have been following me from day one that finally pulled the trigger on an original or you know, and I don't know, I can't speak for you, but that's been really special in this whole journey. And I don't know if it's the same, like seeing people that have kind of seen my pencil drawings and now follow me into sports, and they find a way to spend money on your art. Like they will find a way to support you because you know. So I love it. Yeah.
So this is Tess. So Jack, he's planning a big box where he's going to ship me a bunch of art, and when it arrives, he wants to be the guest on the stream, and he wants to have
sure I know about this.
Just Jackson Day. Oh, that will be, you know, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Like pay for ads for that. I feel like that's the time to go nuts on paid Facebook advertising. You're like, Jackson is coming on my show this day.
Yeah, let's make him famous.
Yeah.
But then he might start caring about what people think, and when you get famous, people
true.
People can be mean. But the Just Jackson Day is coming in. It's going to be glorious.
I absolutely love that.
For sure.
So, what's your favorite on? Well, okay, I shouldn't say favorite because I would hate to be asked that question. What is the most unique unveiling you've had and why? Not necessarily favorite, but like when someone sends you something, what's been like funny or unique or just stands out? I would never ask the favorite.
So unveiling. So this is like a Mail Monday thing,
or any time really that you've been sent something by someone maybe you
Will
don't.
you do me a favor, Matt, and go get the Letters from Friends box. There's a whole box. We'll do another question until he comes back with it, and then I have a great answer for that. It's wild. It's you know, it's crazy. You know, you hear about like, when like, you know, like rich people don't have to pay for anything kind of thing. Like, you know, like the people that are the most well off get all this stuff for free. I'd never like, I don't know. It's like, it kind of feels like that where it's like, I'm already in this position where I have this amazing platform and I'm finally getting my art in front of more people than I ever have in my life. And more people than ever are like wanting to like send something to me as a gift, and not even just like to do it, but it's like really thoughtful stuff. And people know like okay, Grant Gaskill, who I believe is he just messaged right there. So he sent this. So Mark McGuire is my favorite player, and he sent this Mark McGuire jersey, which I wore last night, and this was from the 1989 World Series, which was also a Battle of the Bay. And so like, this is like such a thoughtful gift.
People are so amazing.
It's just absolutely insane. And like, and just the fact that like, especially now, like with everything that's going on, Grant Gaskill, yeah.
That is very thoughtful. You're a good human.
Yeah, no, he's a great human. And it works both ways. Like I had the cover of Beckett. It was my Mark McGuire card. And he's like, hey, man, it's my birthday coming up. I would love a Beckett. And I was like, no problem. And they signed, put his name on the Beckett and sent him a Beckett, and got it there in time for his birthday. And he's like, all right, I'm going to send you something back. And he sends that. And like, now we're going to send Grant another gift packet. It's just, it keeps going back and forth. But like, so if I have to say like the biggest impact is this. So this says letters from friends, and I think my parents did a really good job. Like whenever I would get presents, is they would always be like, read the note first, make sure to read the note.
Isn't it funny as you get older that matters more?
It does matter.
If you're just like,
yeah, and so I don't really care about the stuff. Like, I mean, not to discount anything. Like that jersey is amazing, and I love it. I wore it on my stream last night.
It's just not about
almost everything on this shelf is gift from people, and it's like, Mark McGuire bobbleheads. There's PSA rated cards. There's signed baseballs. There's all these amazing things, and that's awesome, and I appreciate it. I don't need that stuff to make me happy. Like this is what makes me happy, and all of these letters, and it's like, it's so many letters, and they're all so like thoughtful and touched and like inspired. So like this is the best gift that I could get, is these letters for sure.
I love that. It's so true. It's like, people's words, and I always try and comment back as much as I can on social media, even though I'm just one person. But it's like people that take time to like leave positivity. It's just it goes a long way. And like a lot of those I copy and paste, and I have like a digital journal on my computer of just kind comments. And like sometimes you just need those. Some days you're just like, I just need to read through these. Like, need a little pick me up. And I've been it never got to me, and I feel terrible because UPS kind of butchered this. But one day in a stream, I was wearing a toque or beanie in the States, and it had a little hole in it. And someone sent me a brand new one because they're like, you have a hole in your hat. It was just like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. And I got like a notice, and UPS like butchered it because of COVID. They weren't allowed in my building, and I got sent back. But like the fact that they even thought that, it's like, there are just nice people out there. And I think a lot of that comes from just, taking a minute to be a decent person back. And that's what I really love about what you've done with your brand, is it's, you know about Blake and his talent, but you also, it's very obvious, you don't promote it. It's people that seem to like put something on Twitter where they tag you, and it's like, thanks for sending so-and-so, my son or my daughter, a card, or, things like that. And for me, it's not letters from friends as much as it is about the mental health part of things. Like that's where I get a lot of private notes about people that have found a way to talk about depression or anxiety when they were kind of at the end of the rope. And like that stuff will always mean more to me than, Willie Mays was special, but at the end of the day, like if talking about mental health saves a life, like that means more to me than getting to meet some of these cool athletes. And they're cool, don't get me wrong, like I don't want to not meet them, but it's I love that you bring that into your brand. I think people are afraid sometimes to bring personality and realness into a brand because it feels vulnerable and wrong, but it's like, for me, I will always support brands that I know that I see a person behind. So good for you for doing that, for bringing it on such a big platform, like, because what you're doing is benefiting artists like myself. So if I haven't said it enough, thank you.
Of course.
I mean that genuinely.
I appreciate that. That's great. I love to hear it. It's so awesome that this project has changed as many lives as it has. It's certainly changed mine. Hearing, from fans that, are excited to, whether it's just to see the next card or to be tuning into the streams or any type of distraction, from all the craziness in the world. There's a lot there. That's great. I know, other artists that this has helped, if it can shine a little bit of more attention and light on sports portraits, I think is such a cool spot. I'm lucky, it's
You
great.
are, but you're lucky, but you say things like that, but the amount of time you put in when no one knew about you, like,
Sure.
can't deny that either. Like, these things don't happen. You don't suddenly get sent a Mark McGuire jersey for doing nothing and not working hard,
Sure.
And so I always try and acknowledge that too, because I think that's missing, because once we get to a certain level, that's what people see, and they're like, oh, you just get to meet Pete Alonso. It's like, oh my God. I wish it was that easy. And I don't know about you, but I like to try and make sure I tell kids that ask, they're like, hey, how do you get these people to respond back? And it's like, oh, kiddo, you got to put in a few years. Like, it's going to be a minute, but don't give up, because, like, honestly, I love telling people Topps denied me. Like, I love telling them people that a layman hobbyist could do what I do, because it could have stopped me, and it did for a bit. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a bummer. But, like, rejection is such a big part of getting successful. Like, such a big part. And it's not talked about enough, because we only play our highlight reels online, right? Like,
Of course.
yeah, there's a lot of, like, shitty moments, but it's totally worth it. That's why I hope more kids, and I hope there's more people like you out there too that are just, like, honest, like, hey, it wasn't always perfect, like, it's a little ugly at times.
And it still isn't. It also still isn't.
Oh, God.
It never is. It never is.
Like, the other day, I cut my finger. I don't know about you, my finger always cut. And they're, like, dry and shit. And I did, like, 15 shipments and realized my finger was bleeding. I had to open them all back up, so I was terrified.
Checking for blood?
Yes, like, during COVID, I was like, this is
God,
disgusting and terrible. So I had to, like, re-ship 15 things. I was just like, oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh.
It's always just something weird, so.
Yeah, it's there's definitely a lot, behind, even within Project 2020, that goes on behind the scenes that's far from perfect. And it's cool because from my history in marketing and that background and understanding, like, content, and especially, like, video content, as soon as social media started to take off, I'm like, video's where it's at. I've been, like, super good at documenting everything. And even especially, like, when something goes horribly, unpredictably wrong, like, almost always my first thought is, where's the camera? Let's get this on film. And, like, there are footage of me that is, like, stressed beyond belief. There's something where I'm like, there's stuff where I'm just, like, literally in tears over something that I'm just, like, so upset about. There's stuff that's, like, arguing over something, whether it's with a company or a person or whatever, like, all that behind the scenes stuff, the struggle is, like, meticulously documented, labeled, put in folders. And I have like a dual.
He would be very proud of you.
Yeah, no, he will be. I have a lot of art in VaynerMedia. I know Gary. I was really hoping that I could leverage my relationship with him to get him involved in Project 2020, and I haven't been able to do that. That's okay. I'm at peace with that.
I mean, no doubt.
If he comes in on the secondary market later and finally understands the project's genius, then that's his loss. But anyways, the point is, like, the content is there, and, like, I have all of it, like, just so well documented, and I'm so excited for, like, it's going to suck for someone to have to watch all the footage, because we have hours and hours of footage every single day, but, like, it exists. And so, like, whenever I get to a point where I've, like, made it enough that someone, like, wants to, like, make a movie about it, I'll be like, okay, good luck, have fun, like, have fun. But, like, it's all there. And when that happens, that's going to be a really fun, a fun moment where, like, I can actually, we can share that part of the journey,
Absolutely.
It's going to be wild.
It's nice to have footage. Like, my favorite thing to do is post pictures where I butcher the hug handshake.
Nice.
It's my jam. There's one of Matt Olson and I just cringe every time, because it's like, A, I forgot to brush the back of my hair. B, he's doing a handshake for sure, and I'm doing a hug. And like, I just love posting those, because it's like, God, it's just so ugly sometimes. And it's so just to post, the highlight reel, but the blooper reel is just as special. And I did a video recently to just kind of thank people, and it was like I think I sent it to you. It was like a summary of like the last couple of years, and it just came out of one day being like, I want to thank people in a more visual way, and yeah, it's just because I had all this footage. I started like thumbing through like this was a special moment, and it helps to have the footage. But yeah, I don't probably have as much as you. I don't do a live video every night. I do a live video like randomly in my car, and yeah, so
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, it was kind of a spontaneous thing where when the project started and I started to get a lot of attention, and I painted my Ricky Henderson live, and people just flipped out and they're like, oh my God, we just got to see everything. And then it was like, and I made a yellow and a green version, and then I put it up on the internet as a vote. I'm like, which one should I submit to tops? And then everyone is like, oh, like people are freaking out. And I was like, all right, I think I'm onto something here. And so I started streaming every night. And I mean, shit, when I focus, I paint a tops card in 1 to 2 days.
Yep.
And we've been streaming now for like 2.5 months. So there's not something always to paint every single night. So it started becoming other things. We do some card breaks, we do Q&As, we do mail days, we do artist interviews. And like, it's so cool to see how that kind of has grown, and like, it's just ingrained in me now. Like every single night, 10:23, I'm like ready to rock. It's pretty rad. And some of them are long. Like shit, we've been going for 2.5 hours, and people are loving it. People are loving it. It's awesome.
What was it? Someone said I'm 62 and I have had to pee twice.
Yeah, right.
I like medium to pee. I'm trying to like nurse this, and I slow down on the beer. But
well, if you want, you could run to the bathroom. I could actually use another beer, or we can wrap things up. I don't really care. I feel like we could talk all night. So
yeah, if people want to keep hearing, I'll happily stay here. But if people are like, I'm good, I need to pee and be.
Well, how about this? You go on a pee break. I'm going to go on a beer run.
Perfect.
In the studio, and I'll meet you back here in like 90 seconds or something.
Whoa.
Matt. Okay, what? I don't know.
40.
5 minutes. Oh, 40 seconds?
5? Jesus.
What?
Well.
20 seconds of washing hands.
What? Gotta wash well.
20 seconds.
We'll just see when I get back here. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And in the meantime, Matt and Max are going to come and make a debut.
Oh, come on.
Max, do you
Come on.
You're going to see outside window and maybe my dogs. Okay, it's a race. Goodbye.
Awesome. Okay, bye.
There you go.
All right.
Open, right?
Yeah, both open. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good Friday night. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us. More than 2.5 hours, or nearly 2.5 hours. 2 minutes away from 2.5 hours. Hot jambalaya. What's up, Andy? What's up, Donna? What's up, Moose? What's up, Matt Burke? What's up, Grant? What time is it there? It is 12:50 a.m. So the West Coast games are like in the 8th inning, 9th inning. Yeah, exactly, Matt. It is morning now. It is Saturday. This interview is fantastic. I'm really glad that Blake was able to have Lauren on the stream. Pretty good. Yeah, that Stanton homer yesterday, that was awesome. That was really epic. That was really cool to watch. What's up, Doug? Hey, what's up? What's up, Wyatt? The coasters look awesome. We're going to show them on Mail Monday, if that's cool with you. Is the air working? It's kind of working, but it's not working well. So I don't know. A little bit. It's like it's kind of warm. I mean, we turn off the AC during the stream, so the audio is better because it kind of makes a AC noise. That's really descriptive. The AC makes an AC noise.
I won.
Hey, you did win.
And I got watermelon chips. I won
Yeah.
bananas too.
Nice. Yes, you need some food. Food is important. Yeah. Andy, we'll definitely, we'll give some more details about the podcast tiers. Definitely, we're definitely going to talk about the podcast a bit more next week and promote that a bit more heavily. Yeah, I mean, I'm mentioning it.
Put it in the comments.
Okay, I'll throw it in. Blake is back, so I'm going to throw the Patreon in the comments, and Yeah,
Just want you to know that I won.
Yes,
I know you won.
won.
Yeah, I
I
got
won,
one for
man.
you.
Oh. I'm going. No, I'm
I'm not
going.
gonna hold it for you.
This is also a great beer.
Ooh, that looks awesome. Boss juice.
Yeah, it's a jam. It's a good one.
Dope. All right. Sorry, that was really loud. All right. Yeah, Eric says you have to be on the podcast, so Eric is the man.
Yep.
Um,
He is the best.
yeah, and also you should put the little Patreon link in there. So guys, we've actually been waiting until Monday to announce this, but we just launched the Patreon for Matt and I's podcasts. Pretty big news, and we recorded an episode today that was awesome. I don't want to tell you too much about it, but it was really, really good with a ex-professional baseball player, now full-time artist. That's all the hints that we're giving.
Ooh.
Anyways, Matt's going to put the link over in the comments. There it is, patreon.com/prettybignews if you want to get involved. But regardless, you don't have to be a member of the Patreon to enjoy it. You just get some extra perks.
Sure. Sure. I love
How old
that
are your
beer. Shay's 2 and Fenway is 10. They have the
Oh,
same
wow.
day. Come on, get up here. Shay. They're I took them for a long play before we started this, but the little one is restless again. She's just
Yeah.
gone. Well, also I'm eating chips, so she's real intrigued by them.
I can see that.
Chips. This is the first time.
What's your next painting that you're working on, or next art piece?
I've got 2. Ricky Henderson
Awesome.
and 3. Pudge Rodriguez. And,
That's who somebody asked about him, I think, right?
I know. I saw that. It was good timing. And
Great.
hopefully Tony Gwynn. I've had Tony Gwynn on my desk for frickin' ever though.
Yeah. So are all those going to become prints, or are they commissions or combo?
Tony Gwynn and Pudge Rodriguez, I do have the ability to do print stuff, so they will for sure be prints once, it takes a couple weeks to get approved, but and then the Ricky Henderson will just be a one-on-one original, so I don't have rates yet, but
Is that a commission for someone, or is that for Ricky, or
just for
just for?
I try and do every couple where it's just something I want to create, and
Of course.
yeah, it's fun giving people a chance to. I do a countdown on Instagram, and then people can first come, first serve. Sometimes they go really quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go later, and I just stare at my Shopify account.
Yeah.
Fenway and Remy, that's a good one. I was trying to think of another Fenway game. Remy's good. I met Remy.
Yeah.
Remy. Funny story about
This is a good question. Ricky, A's or Yankees?
A's.
Nice. I like that. I have up on the shelf. I have some.
Love the A's. I love the green. Okay, here's a question for you. Is
Yep.
there a jersey? Like, do you like doing art of teams or players where the colors are more fun? Like, is there a jersey that's like your favorite to create?
That's a good question. I think not really. So if I end up doing like a portrait in general, that's like, I feel like there isn't enough color in the jersey or the portrait, I'll make the background like extra.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that?
You get colors in there no matter what.
I get color in there no matter what. Yeah. And the also interesting thing is and it's different with Project 2020, but what I would do before is I would spend multiple days, just all day cutting all my stencil layers.
Yep.
And they're all hand cut and they're all prepped. And then I'll spend like 1 or 2 days painting everything at one time. And like, I don't actually, unless it's a commission where they're specifically asking for colors, which is honestly pretty rare. Most people at this point in my career are like, I trust you, just do your thing. And I love that. And so like, I might have like 3 to 5 paintings that I'm doing at once. And I just lay down all the canvases for the different sizes. And most of the time it's the same size. I'm usually painting 24 by 36. So I'll lay them all down. And then I'll literally just be like, I'll choose the colors on the spot. And it's funny, like if you look back at my work, like I'm always choosing the same, like kind of like almost like Saved by the Bell colors. It's like I love like the neons, like the bright pops of color. And I'll do all the backgrounds at one time. And and it's sometimes it's like there's like 2 football paintings, a commission of someone's dog, which by the way is very popular, and a baseball painting.
You get those too. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'll pick the colors like spontaneously. I'll do them, and then based on whatever the background looks like and where the paint lays, I'll just choose which stencil goes on which. So like if you look back at my body of work, you'll see like chunks of like 5 paintings that are all very different that went to different people, but they all kind of like match and they're like in a set. And then I'll be on to the next like set of backgrounds.
You did it too after your first card where it was a stencil that you did a kind of, was it Mattingly? You did one where you did like a few different versions of it, maybe on cardboard?
Yeah, so yes. So I'm painting all of my Mattingly's actually on poster board, or not poster board, sorry, foam board.
Love that.
So it's very lightweight, super easy to, I'm thinking like travel with for like a traveling show after this. And so, yes, with Don Mattingly, I did the picture reversal where it had like the mug shot and then the field shot, and we swapped those. So I did the big mug shot, and then for the field shot, I did 4 versions all at one time, one night. And same thing, I just put it up to the internet. I said 1, 2, 3, or 4, and let the internet choose, and just left it to like a popular vote. And yes, it's fun. So I also have all these like extra, like the Don Mattingly that never was kind of thing, which is fun. You know, that can go in the museum someday.
Totally. Like I like to think all my like pieces where I'm like, you're not making the cut. One day will be like the expensive ones, like the low print run type ideas, like where people are like, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's I love that you switched those on the Mattingly, and it cracked me up. I read a few on Facebook. They're like, he missed, like he confused the picture. I'm like, that was on purpose. Like,
right. Yeah.
God, not everything is just so bright. But I thought that was quite smart. And people obviously liked it.
I had one kind of a thing that I did on purpose is similar. So you know how like there's the grammar police, grammar Nazis, and I am too, where people, especially with your Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U-R-E, you know how like all the time, like there will be people will be arguing on Twitter about like
literally people look at that
and people will be like, it's your like, right. Yeah. So I did one that said a painting that said follow your daydream, but I did the wrong your, like, so it was like on purpose. So it was like follow your daydream. And I put that on social media and everyone freaked out. It was so funny. And I was like, I didn't even say anything. I just sat back and just laughed because it was like, it's just hilarious to me, like trolling the trolls to be like, okay, guys. Yep.
They're like, word, I'm about to tell them.
Yeah. Little do they know I'm getting tons of tweet replies, like tons of engagement.
Like I'm actually growing my, but thanks. Yeah, it does make me laugh. There'll be like an epic fight going on, like back and forth, probably about politics or some shit. And it's like the one person is just banking on the other person to make a grammatical error, so they can be like, nothing you said counts.
Yes,
no,
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
All of your points are null and void because you said the wrong there. Okay.
Yeah.
And exactly. I'm bad. Like I don't know. I have messages all day. I'm just trying to hurry up and get back to them. Sometimes I don't proofread. I'm like, I've gotten to accept the fact that I know that I'm smart enough to know the difference between the three. But sometimes I make a typo or something when I'm saying, and I don't care anymore. Like I used to be like, oh, I got to proofread this 800 times. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
My dog. No, it's mine. It's mine.
No watermelon for the pups.
They always get.
Just having a dog.
Yeah, they're best. They're my little employees, though. They're not very good at shipping.
That's a good question. Chris McGowan. What is a movie that comes on TV and if you come across it, you stop everything and watch it?
You go first.
Lego Movie.
Excuse me?
The Lego Movie.
Thought I heard that right.
One of my favorite films of all time.
The Lego.
The Lego Movie.
Not at all what I expected, but I love it. Just
Lego. I love
my
that. What's yours?
I have the attention span of a gnat. The fact that you've got me on this video for this long is impressive. I don't do movies very well. Now, if we're talking a 45-minute murder documentary,
Mm-hmm.
Say no more.
True crime. True crime is dope. So do you ever do you do any audiobooks?
Yes. You sent me a few book suggestions. I'm actually just picked up The Alchemist. I know it's a shame I haven't read that yet.
I was
But,
listening to that today right before the stream. And it's such a quick listen. It's 4 hours.
I know it's a quick read too, which is good for me because, like I said, attention span of an ant. I'm like
Yeah.
in bed, like.
But I put it on when I paint.
That's
The
really,
audio on Audible, which is so good.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. What did I? Okay, I don't remember what I sent you, but I'm just gonna try and guess. The Alchemist,
Obviously.
The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, maybe.
So yeah.
And let's see here. Make Art, Make Money: The Story of Jim Henson and His Licensing Empire.
Ooh, that does ring a bell.
That's a good one. That's just my guess, knowing.
You sent me quite a few. Like I was actually really thrilled with your response. I was like,
Awesome.
You put some thought into that.
Yeah, no, I love audiobooks, and
But yeah,
if you have any favorite books, I'm all ears.
I'm a nerd. So I'm a psychology major. I actually thought for a long time I was going to go into child psychology, like clinical, like a doctorate in psychology. So I love stuff on most people. You're going to be so bored when I say this, like neuroplasticity, and there's an author, Gabor Mate, who is kind of, hey Shay, stop, you're fine. That's kind of it talks about like dealing with addiction and some of those issues in more of a harm reduction way instead of a crime way. And I've always been really fascinated. I did a documentary series before. It was actually the first time I kind of did art in public. I went and drew the faces of homeless folks in the downtown East Side in order to tell their story. And kind of, if you go on YouTube and search East Side story,
how can we find that?
let me just look on my computer. I'll actually give you a link. It's East Side Stories. It's on YouTube. It was through TELUS. I won a grant to do it and did it with some friends. And it was the most eye-opening project because I actually say at some point in the video, like, I thought these people's story because everyone assumes you understand, the person living on the sidewalk. You think you have a general idea, but I mean, some of these people, all of these people were so incredible and had such beautiful stories that it was okay. So if you were to search just Story Hive, all one word, Story Hive, like beehive,
okay,
and then East Side Stories. There's 3 episodes, but the first one, it's just you'll see illustrator Lauren Brem in the description.
Okay.
You see it yet?
I don't know. Let's see. East Side Stories.
I guess I could.
Dozens of kids end up in downtown East Side. This episode's Vancouver street youth.
Let me just put I can actually just put it in the comments. Didn't even think about that. There you go. I just posted it in the comments. That's our first episode.
You might not be able to post links. I'm not sure. Let's see.
Well, I just did.
Yeah, I don't think so either. East Side is East Side one word or 2 words?
East Side's one word.
East Side.
The person that put it up is Story.
Okay, there we go. Lauren Brem.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's just basically we followed,
I'll put this in the thread for everyone.
It was really special to me, and it still is really special to me. I feel like I grew a lot as a person doing that, and kind of reading about Gabor Mate talks a lot about how, just the Sorry, I have to plug in my iPad so you can get the lovely view of my bruised chin. But yeah, it was just fascinating, and I love stuff like that. I'm all about nonfiction books and documentaries and learning kind of about, the human mind and how mental health in general, but just how we're all so goddamn similar. And really, at the end of the day, there's a fork in the road that those folks got a different hand, and they aren't that different from you and I. And I love reading about that and trying to remind people of that, because it's so easy to just assume that if someone, is doing drugs or stealing or on the street, like, it must be a horrible human, but it's so not the case. Like, their story has led them there. And I've always been kind of interested in what that story is and how we can help. Like how can we help? So yeah, that was actually kind of the first public time I've had my art public. So it's pencil drawings and it looks different, but yeah, it was special. So
that's awesome. Well, I can't wait to watch it. I'm definitely going to check that out. And I put the link in there for everyone else. Also, I think this is a great comment. I think it was Tony Schreck. He says, it's a great interview when it's still over 50 people watching after 1 a.m. and they're not giving anything away. Which brings me to a point of something I forgot about.
Right?
So Lauren and I talked about this before, but we are going to do a giveaway. And we're going to launch it, I guess, I don't know, over the weekend or next week, whenever we feel like it. But it's going to be so Lauren has a big following on Instagram. I've got a modest following on Twitter.
You have a big following.
And we're going to try and cross promote each other. And so for the Instagram side of things, it's basically going to be like you have to follow Blake and Lauren on Instagram and Twitter. And the idea is to try and get Lauren beefed up on Twitter and to get me some Instagram love. And we're both going to give away a print of the winner's choice. So it'll be two different winners. And for Lauren's, it's any print that's available. Obviously, the ones that are sold out, you can't get those. For mine,
you can't beat Alonzo. That's for run sold out if you win.
Yeah. And then for mine, you basically can pick anything from my archive of what I've done, except I can't print Topps 2020 cards. But I could do a one-off, like I would do a one-off Russell Wilson print or any of the other people that I painted. I'm fine just doing a one of those. So that's gonna be cool. So yes, Tony, we're not giving stuff away, but we are going to give people away.
That was but it was so well done.
Yeah,
so well done.
It's like a plant. Well, he like reminded me. I'm like, oh yeah, giving stuff away. We were gonna do that.
He like complimented us and reminded us to give some stuff away. I love it. That was well done. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it was so beautiful. Like,
yeah, it was dope. Super dope.
What's your most recommended print or top selling print?
So I don't do a lot of print sales. Actually, okay, I do have one. It's an abstract. It's called Over the Couch, and it's one of my favorite works that I've done, especially one of my favorite abstract works. And I still have the original in my studio. It's pretty big. It's 36 by 60, and it's just bright and colorful. And it was, ironically or not, the first painting I ever made in my brand new New York studio. When I came here, and it was so spontaneous. I'm meticulous about how I set my studio up, and I had a really great studio in California, which was at my parents' house. Very lucky to have that situation. And so when I got to New York and I rented the studio and I started buying furniture, I had some custom tables made, which sounds more expensive than it is. I found this guy that's just could make something dope for me. And so I was getting it all dialed in, hanging cabinets, setting up my, just everything, just getting it all dialed in. And I had told myself, but I had bought paint and I had bought canvases and I was just kind of organizing everything, getting it where I wanted. And I told myself, I'm not going to paint anything until the studio is just dialed. And one night, super late at night, probably 2 a.m, I was like in the middle of like building like IKEA furniture, like shelving or something. And I'm like, screw this, I'm going to paint something. And my friend Grant was here too. And he's also an artist and he was helping me set up. And I said, yo, man, you want to paint something? He said, yeah. And we put out a couple canvases. And we just we had a blast, and we each painted one, and we also each helped on ours. So it's kind of a collaboration with him. But that piece has been such a cool, fun piece, and also a reminder of not everything has to be perfect before you can just make a leap. To me, that's kind of what it means. And I had I had gotten a futon in my studio, and so I hung it over the futon. It fit really well. It's a big horizontal piece. And so I'm he's like, what are you going to call it? I'm like, Over the Couch, because it's over the couch. And I think I've probably sold more prints of Over the Couch than anything else, which is crazy because abstract is not what I'm known for, but I think people see it and everyone can get behind a piece of abstract kind of modern art. Whereas a Russell Wilson is only going to appeal to a select group of people.
Exactly. That's the trick with sports art in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't have like like you said, pets are. I've never done really abstract. Done a few scenery, but yeah, it's always funny the ones that get some of the most sometimes surprise us a little bit, or the ones that like the Bo Jackson one. I actually was really worried about. I was like, this isn't going to sell because I got worried about the fact that his hand's kind of sitting in the corner, and I was like, no one's going to want it. And it's like that is one of my most requested prints.
I love that one.
I do too now. But like, I don't know about you, if I stare at something for a long time and I get something in my head that something looks wrong, I'll catastrophize it by the end of the day. I'm like, this is the worst piece of art I've ever made. So sometimes I just have to post it and walk away and be like, hey, it's fine. I get someone. It's funny. That's what's fun about art, though. You don't need everyone to like it. You just need one person.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So yeah, your Over the Couch sounds like my red seat piece that's sitting above my table right now. It's like the one piece that like, I refuse to sell till I sell it for a price that I know I can, like, I want to get to. And I'm glad, because when I first made it, I almost sold it for $1,000, and I'm really glad I didn't, because it's my biggest piece. That's almost like the wood itself was a couple $100. So it's kind of my, it's in the Beckett magazine, it's in a few different newspapers, and it's like, that's going to be, if and when I sell that, it's going to be for the right price, and it's going to be kind of like, it'll be special to me, but also if I never sell it, I will take it with me everywhere. Yeah. It's just, it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I would sell Over the Couch in a heartbeat. Now, it would have to be for the right price. And with Top's project where it's at, and like my prices have gone up even in the last few months. But yeah, I mean, I price all my work based on size, and that's on the upper limit. So it'd probably be like, you know, close to 10 grand for something that size. But if someone came and was ready, anything, I mean, literally.
That's where I'm at with Red Seat. I'm never too emotionally convinced.
Yeah.
I think that's important, because I went, my first art show, I remember I did a gallery, and the gallery's like, a lot of artists go wrong when they get too emotionally invested in pieces, and they price them so high, or they're just not willing to give it up. And this is the one I'm most attached to, but I would sell it. Like, you know, I posted on Instagram or Twitter the other day, and a lot of people commented, and it's like, it's not one I'm going to publicly put in my store. Like, I wouldn't want to be open to a chargeback through PayPal because some random guy buys it, but you know, at the same time, like, I would sell it. There's nothing, and that's a fun thing, because I know I can make something else I like, or, you know, but yeah, I have a similar attitude, like, you know, also, there's no art I would sell. So, well, the original, so the one piece I will never sell is the pencil drawing I did of Fenway that started my whole business. It's just one I will always keep, just for me, because it's humble. I told my dog she had to start like earning her keep around here, and she literally did.
That's awesome.
Look at the way she's laying. So it's a bit of a hussy. No.
Oh my gosh.
We are on live video. Gotta shut that door right now. We're on live video. So sorry.
Hilarious.
She's a bit of a hussy. I love her, but she's, come on, Fenway. I raised you better than that. But yeah.
That's awesome.
This has been so fun. I appreciate
you. Great. Yeah, of course. This is. Oh, sorry. Go.
I haven't got to read through many of the comments because I can't multitask very well, but I will. Yeah.
No, it's been great. Well, if you ever end up in New York, you're welcome anytime. The studio's big, and I love collaborating with other artists.
Same goes for Vancouver. We're kind of like in timeout in each other's countries right now. But
Totally.
When that changes,
well, by the time that changes, we might actually be in Las Vegas, but we don't know yet.
Okay. Las Vegas is a cheap flight for me from Vancouver. It's an easy work.
And it's also a lot of house for not as much money as New York. You know, a lot of the benefits of being in New York are completely tampered down by the fact that like we can't go do anything. And that's okay. You know, I would rather people be safe and not be doing things than being irresponsible. But, you know, but also like rent is still, it's not like we've gotten a break on, you know, it's really expensive to be here. And so, we're exploring other options. But anyways, anytime you're stateside,
the same for you. I do a lot of. I'm not, like I said, I've never been a typical artist. I probably never will be. My art galleries are always in breweries, so I do like. I time it with like a big sports game, and I go to a brewery and we just kind of share the space, and they make money off beer, and they don't usually charge me to have my art around. So, but it'd be fun to do a collab because a lot of people know of you, and even if they don't, your art speaks for itself. They don't even know your name to be impressed with your art. So, yeah. And by the way, I've noticed quite a few sales have come throughout this. If you're someone that's been watching this and bought something, thank you, very much appreciated. And I'm sorry. Responded to comments, like I said.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, so thank you. A lot of that's for you too. And I've got
I hope that, I hope you get a whole second wave tomorrow. So there's kind of there's two core groups of people, and there's the late night crew that stays up and watches it live, and that are here asking the comments. But there's a group that's at least as big that's like religiously watching this the following day, and I hope that those people appreciate and buy some of your art as well.
And you know what? If you're someone that bought it from the stream, either live or tomorrow, please send me a note on Twitter or Instagram, and I have a free little print to put in there just for sticking around and watching this and supporting me on Blake's channel. So I like to throw in free art every once in a while, and I won't tell you which one it is. It'll be a surprise, but it'll be universally, I think, loved. I always try and put prints in there that aren't like something that's very controversial, like whether or not you're a Yankees fan. So there'll be something.
I love the Pete Alonso, so.
I know. Like, Tony, I'm going to actually give everyone that print.
Yeah.
I'm reissuing it just for everyone but you. Just kidding. I'd be the worst person in the world. I would really be the worst person in the world. I'm going to make Tony, I'm going to make a new Pete Alonso that's going to blow your socks off. And you're going to buy all 100, and then you'll
have the whole market. Yeah.
All to yourself.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you again for having me, Blake.
Yeah,
this is
of course.
Really
Thank you
fun.
so much for joining.
If I ever have a rad video channel, you're my first guest.
Awesome.
That
I'm ready
requires
anytime.
organization.
I love it. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay awesome.
Thanks, guys.